This is Jocko Podcast number 260 with Echo Charles and me, Jocko Willink. Good evening, Echo.
Good evening.
So, I was in my bedroom, sitting on my bed, and I was wrenching in pain. Or I guess the proper word is anguish. It had been 2 days since Seth died. And the 5 stages of grief were not kind to me. The first stage of grief, denial, was over in about 15 seconds. I've had so many friends die that I know without question what it means. I know how quickly it comes. And I know that my friends in our line of work, including Seth, we dance with death all the time. And just a day prior, one of my friends and mentors in the SEAL teams, Master Chief Mike Faculty, had died. And all this was taking place right on the 11th anniversary of Mikey Mansour being killed in action in Ramadi on September 29th, 2006. So denial didn't last long. And neither did the so-called bargaining stage. Because I know there's no bargaining with death. I know what it is. I know it is irreversible, irrevocable, and I know it's 100% final. Which brought me to the next 2 stages, which hit me at the same time, hard. Working together in unison to torment me, anger and depression. So that's what I'm feeling, sitting there in agony, and the walls are closing in and the darkness is taking over my brain, and I can actually see it happening. I always talk about being detached, so I'm detached and I can see it happening, and it doesn't feel like there's anything I can do about it. I see hope, and I see the fun and the joy and the laughter, and I see life circling the drain. And I know it's bad, and I know where that leads. I know that that's the beginning of the downward spiral. And I can feel my mind getting sucked into that vortex. And I don't know what to do. And from my bed, you can see through the door to my office, and I look into my office, and I see a book, and it's a book that I actually wrote. The book that hadn't even been released yet. It was about to be released. But I had received my box of copies from the publisher, and there was a stack of those books sitting on my desk. And I remembered. It was like my own book was talking to me, because I remembered that I had written about death in that book. And when I had written about death, I had written it for other people. because I'd experienced a lot of loss, lost a lot of friends. So I was writing about death so other people could learn from me, because I felt like I was good and I knew how to handle death. Except at that moment in time, I wasn't handling it too well at all. So I picked up the book. I picked up the book that I had written. I picked up the book and opened it to a section to read the words that I had written myself. And I read it. The section's called Death. And it says, how does good apply to the worst of losses, the death of a loved one? It's easy to think that there's nothing good in death. But then I remember the people I have lost throughout my life. The memories of them, the experiences, the fun, their unique personalities, and everything they gave me. Not only in their life, but in their death. What their life taught me and what their death taught me. The mark they had left on me. And I realized there is good. Even in death, there is good. First of all, I was lucky enough to have had that person in my life, even if it was only for a short time. Too short a time. At least I got that. Those moments, those precious moments, those unforgettable memories. At least I got those and got to experience those times to know the beauty of their personality, their attitude, their outlook on the world. They were all unique, and I am thankful for the opportunity I had to interact with them. Now comes death. Death is horrible, and death is wretched, and death is cruel. And death isn't fair. And I don't know why the best people seem to be taken from us first. Death is also inescapable. There is no way out. No one gets out alive. Death is part of life, like the contrast between the darkness and the light. Without death, there is no life. And the people that I have lost, they taught me that. They taught me how precious life is, how blessed we are to have every day, to learn, to grow, to laugh, to live. To live. To live every day with purpose and passion, to wake up in the morning and be thankful for that morning, thankful for that opportunity to go into the world and live. Live for them, for those that don't have the opportunity, for those who were stolen away by death's cruel hand. For them, I will live. I will revere their memory, and I will live. So, let us cry no more. Let us mourn no more. Let us remember. But let us not dwell. Instead, Let us laugh and love, and let us embrace and venerate everything that life is and every opportunity it gives us. Let us live. For those who live no more. Let us live to honor them. And that's what I tried to do. And that's what I'm still trying to do. But I needed that bit of guidance from myself. And there's even more backstory here, because the book was supposed to come out October 17th, 2017. That's when the book was being released. And for that release of the book, I had 9 days of media scheduled in New York City with all the cable news networks and the syndicated radio interviews and the articles and the podcast interviews, and all the stuff was set up and scheduled so people would hear about the book. And of course, all this stuff is what the publisher and the publicist sets up because they're trying to sell the book, and it's the big chance to get on the New York Times bestseller list and the Wall Street Journal bestseller list and the USA Today list and the Amazon list and all that. And of course, I know that because of the situation, none of this is going to happen. I know that I have to take care of my friend, I have to see him off, and I need to take care of his mom and his dad and his brother and his sister. So the entire 9 days of media got completely canceled. I did 0. Didn't even do my own podcast about this book. In fact, that's the only week where this podcast did not come out. And I went to 3 memorial services for Seth and to his burial at Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery. There was a memorial service in San Diego for the teams. There was one in Houston, his hometown, for his Texas friends and family. And there was one in Hawaii, which was the location of the unit that he was attached to when he died. And I had the honor of escorting his mom throughout all these events, as he, Seth, had requested in a letter he had sent in case he died. And we saw him off as best we could, including going surfing, and including setting something on fire at dusk, which he had also requested in that letter. And we burned what was left of an old surfboard that Seth had given to my son, which my son had broken. And we also burned an old guitar of mine that could not be tuned. At least no one could tune it except for Seth. Somehow he could tune it, but no one else could, so it was of no use anymore. So we set them aflame in a giant bonfire on the beach near our favorite surf spot. And we pushed the burning surfboard out to sea, Viking style. And we said goodbye. But we will remember. Now, what made me think about all this is that the other day I got asked a question. Someone asked me, what's your favorite mantra? And of course, when I think of mantras, I think of the generic and I guess cheesy is the word, for lack of a better word, mantras that you hear. These are the if you can believe it, you can achieve it, or failure is part of the road to success, or whatever those things are. The standard kind of mantras. Nothing against them, but they're not really my thing. So this person asked me what's my favorite mantra, and I say, I'm not really into the whole mantra thing. I don't really say anything to myself. I just do what I do. And this was on a call, and Jamie, who is the operations director at Echelon Front, and she's also an instructor, and she was on the call as well. And she kind of chimed in to tighten me up with my answer. She said, Jocko, she said, everything you say is a mantra. You speak in mantras. Maybe not to yourself, but to the rest of us, you speak in mantras. And I thought about that for about a quarter of a second, and I realized that she was absolutely right. Discipline equals freedom. Yes, that's a mantra. And I absolutely live by that. Good, that's a mantra. Stay on the path, that's a mantra. And not only do I say these things, but I actually wrote a book filled with these mantras. And the title of the book is actually the mantra itself. Discipline equals freedom. And not only that, but I realized that even though I'm saying, oh, you don't need a mantra, I need them. At least sometimes. Sometimes, like I had when Seth died, I needed to hear, or I needed to read my own words to get me through, to figure out where to go, to figure out what to do. Well, the rest of the cool part of the backstory is that when the book came out, it came out with no media at all. It still made all those lists because you all supported it, but I never covered it on the podcast. And I never explained what it actually is, what the book is, where it came from. And I just released a new version of it, so I figured I'd better tell you. And what the book is it's like an operating system. Well, I guess it's like my operating system. And I originally wrote it because people were asking me the same questions all the time about the same subjects, about jiu-jitsu and about diet and about workouts and how to overcome obstacles or how to handle defeat or failure or whatever. All the same questions. And so I said, you know what, I'm just going to, my original plan was, and I said it on the podcast, and I still get messages about this. What I said on the podcast is that, look, you all are asking me a bunch of these questions. I'm just going to publish a quick ebook. I'll get it together in a few weeks and get it out there. And so I actually told my publisher, hey, I'm going to publish a little ebook about this stuff. And my publisher said, no, please don't do that. Do not publish an ebook. He said, you just were the #1 New York Times bestselling author. You don't publish an ebook. Well, what I told him was, well, sorry, but I'm gonna just do this as an ebook because I don't want you to tell me what has to be in there or how long it has to be or what it needs to look like or any of that stuff. I want to do whatever I want to do. And the only way I can do whatever I want to do is if I just do it myself. And I was looking into how we were going to get this thing printed. So I had a vision in my mind. I knew what I wanted the book to be. And my publisher, to his credit, and maybe to his own possible mistake, said, I will publish whatever you want. And I said, really? And he said, whatever you want. So that's what this book is. It's not a normal book. If you haven't seen it before, it's not a normal book. The way it's written, the format of it, the way it's laid out, the color of the pages. Mm-hmm. It's just it's a whole different scenario. of a book. And, well, I guess if we want to learn a little bit about the book, there is a visual impact to the book. Echo, Charles? Is there?
Yes, there is.
It's
visual impact.
And it's really hard to print, you know, because instead of being white pages with like simple black letters, there's all these images in the background of every single page. Most of the images are black, and then the writing is almost all in white. So it's a different book, has a different visual impact. It's cool. Some people send me pictures of, they'll just have this book sitting somewhere. You know, just kind of have it in its position. So let's go to the book. I'll read through some of the stuff. The opening section is called The Way of Discipline. People look for the shortcut, the hack. And if you came here looking for that, you won't find it. The shortcut is a lie. The hack doesn't get you there. And if you want to take the easy road, it won't take you where you want to be. Stronger, smarter, faster, healthier, better, free. To reach goals and overcome obstacles and be the best version of you possible will not happen by itself. It will not happen cutting corners, taking shortcuts, or looking for the easy way. There is no easy way. There is only hard work, late nights, early mornings, practice, rehearsal, repetition, study, sweat, blood, toil, frustration, and discipline. Discipline. There must be discipline. Discipline, the root of all good qualities, the driver of daily execution, the core principle that overcomes laziness and lethargy and excuses. Discipline defeats the infinite excuses that say, not today, not now, I need a rest, I will do it tomorrow. What's the hack? How do you become stronger, smarter, faster, healthier? How do you become better? How do you achieve true freedom? There is only one way. The way of discipline. So that's the opening of the book. You know, this is not a verbose book. You don't get paid by the word. Like the old newspaper writers, they used to get paid by the word. I'm not getting paid by the word. I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say. That's it. So that is from the first section of this book, and the first section of this book is called Thoughts. And then the second section is called Actions. And the action sections includes 3 parts. One is fuel, one is repair and maintenance, and one is the workouts. So let me give you some more of these thoughts. This one's called Overcoming Procrastination. When and where to start. People want to know how to stop laziness. They want to know how to stop procrastination. They have an idea in their head, maybe even a vision, but they don't know where to start. So they ask and they say, where do I start? When is the best time to start? And I have a simple answer: here and now. That's it. You want to improve? You want to get better? You want to get on a workout program or a clean diet or start a new business? You want to write a book or make a movie or build a house or a computer or an app? Where do you start? You start right here. When do you start? You start right now. You initiate action. You go. Here is the reality. The idea isn't going to execute itself. That book isn't going to write itself. Those weights out in the gym, they aren't going to move themselves. You have to do it. And you have to do it now. So stop thinking about it. Stop dreaming about it. Stop researching every aspect of it and reading all about it and debating the pros and cons of it. Start doing it. Take that first step and make it happen. Get after it here and now. You've been kind of getting after it lately, haven't you?
Yes, sir.
You made a goal, you were telling me. You have goals.
Actual
is this
goals.
Is this kind of a new?
I think it was a progressive kind of thing. It started with kind of certain things, you know. Remember I told you I got not a journal, but what do you call it, like a planner?
Yeah, you got the day planner.
Yeah. And I've tried the planner thing many times, but not like the one that you actually write in with a pencil.
Okay.
You know, the kind like online. I got my digital on my phone, you know.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. There's a weird thing that happens when you go physical.
I agree.
Right?
Yes, for me that was the case for sure. Because some people, that's how. Like if you go, they got their cool app, organizer app, whatever, and it works. Apparently, you know, a lot of people use it. So you know, you can't kind of can't refute that. Yeah, but it didn't work for me. Like it didn't stick at all. Many times. You know, I even did it on my computer where I was like, oh, I'm gonna leave it on the desktop so I can always see it. And it's still like. It worked for certain things, but not for like
making
stuff.
a bunch of videos for this podcast.
Well, but it was stuff that I would always have to revisit mentally, you know. And I'd be like, okay, it's open. Okay, there it is. There. But no, not for planning. So I got a planner and a pencil, a special pencil for the planner. Oh, mechanical pencil.
Yep, I'm a big mechanical pencil guy.
Yeah, because you can write. You can write super small if you need to. Like, man, yeah, it's good. And then you can erase or whatever. Anyway, so it started with that. Like months ago, almost a year, really, and that helped.
So it's interesting as I read this book, you know, right now, and as I was reviewing it, I was thinking about you because you've been kind of like almost involuntarily put on the path. I guess, like I mean, you've just been overexposed. I mean, just there's no way for you to kind of not. I mean, you're sitting here for hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Yeah.
So your life has transformed in many ways.
Yes. Yeah, big time. It's funny. Okay, here's a quick story, not to deviate too much, but I'm gonna. So my daughter, she's the kind like, she likes certain things and then certain things she just straight up doesn't like. So you make her start running laps hard, she don't like that kind of stuff. So we took her, you know, it was my nephew / son. We took him to a running coach, and this coach has a group of kids, all varying levels, all the way up until like guys getting full ride scholarships to like Oregon for lacrosse, like the high level athlete guys.
Is he a good runner?
Who, the coach?
No.
Who? Oh, Jace?
Yeah.
We don't know. That's the thing.
Okay.
We don't know. So you know, and he had some friends in there and stuff like that. So they were like, hey, come see this coach and all this stuff. Former Marine, by the way.
Approved.
Older guy. And
double approved.
And there's a bunch of kids there, and they're all doing their thing. So I'm like, yeah, let's throw my daughter in there too. She's 7, but young kid, you know. And there were a couple of other young boys in there, 8-ish, you know. And I'm like, she's not gonna like this. If this is hard conditioning, like track practice, which it was, by the way, it's she's not gonna like this stuff. She's going to be whatever. And she did start crying at one point, but she did everything. That's the thing. Okay, so the point is how I wound up on the path, even though I got to admit, like, I've always wanted to, like, improve, but let's face it, I go with the wave, man. And sometimes beneficial, and a lot of times not, for sure. But I watched her, and she was nervous. She was not used to this kind of, like, intensity, you know? And this guy is, the coach, he's really cool, man. But he's not mellow. He's making jokes. He's putting you down. All jokes. You can totally tell, but, you know, she didn't know what to make of that. And so, but meanwhile, all the kids are listening. So he's like, go, run now, you know, this kind of stuff. And the kids are just going. So she has kind of no choice but to follow the wave, you know. If it was me and her by herself, at any given moment, she'll be like, wait, I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah, but when everyone else is doing it, her whole, at that moment, environment is just react or moving, but you get caught up in that wave.
It's kind of interesting because you use the same metaphor for both, for two opposite things. You said, well, you know, I want to get better, but, you know, sometimes I just kind of go with the wave, right?
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden you're saying that in this situation, depending on the direction of the wave, if the wave's going in a good direction, you kind of get caught in that too.
Get caught in
That's
that wave.
what I feel like you hanging out with me for the last 5 years, by the way, of just the podcast, because we've been hanging out for a lot longer than that. And look, let's face it, you had a lot of elements of discipline and hard work. I mean, you played football. Obviously, you got to hard work to do that. You know, you're awesome at jiu-jitsu. You're you obviously work out hard. So you have like some aspects in your life that were real kind of strong. Some other aspects of your life, we had some areas, right?
We could improve.
We had some areas that maybe needed a little bit more on the path. They wanted to kind of ride a different wave.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, that wave is powerful. Like, you know how they say, and there's a bunch of cool, quote unquote, cool taglines where it's like, oh, your network is your net worth, and like all this, and basically
that's when somebody asked me like, what's your favorite mantra? I started thinking of all those things, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna get here. And Jamie was like, she tightened me up. She's like, hey, Jocko, everything you say is a mantra. And I'm like, she's like, you might not think it, but we all think it.
Yep, it's true.
And
it's
I was
absolutely
like,
true.
Check.
And those mantras, even the quote unquote cheesy ones, they all the root of all of them are legitimate.
Yeah, they're not untrue.
Yeah.
By any stretch. And some of them are absolutely like, yes, 100%.
Yeah. And these network is your network, and like, show me your 5 friends, I'll show you your future, or whatever. All like all that, they're all saying the same thing. It's kind of like your environment is this big wave that's going to influence you, and you're going to be riding that thing. And you can fight against it, you can ride with it, you can do whatever you want to do, but bruh, that's a wave.
You might want to pick the right wave.
If you pick the right wave, you're good. But me, in this case, I kind of in a way didn't really pick any wave at all. I'm essentially rode one wave right into another wave, and luckily that wave was going in the right direction, and it was huge. It is huge. So yeah, and I was down for it. So yeah, man, I'm riding it, and trying to do the right things for sure. And yes, very, very beneficial.
Check. This next section, I'm gonna jump through a bunch of these real quick, but this one's called "The Person You Can Control." People are not who you want them to be. Kill your idols. Sure, there are things we can learn from people, but people aren't going to be what you think they are, what they should be. People, even those people you have put on a pedestal, are going to be faulted, weak, egomaniacal, condescending. They are going to be lazy, entitled, short-sighted. They will not be perfect, far from it. That's fine. Learn from their weaknesses. Of course, learn from their strengths and mimic and copy them in what they do well, but equally as important, learn from their faults. See what not to do. Because you can't control other people. You can't make them what you want them to be. You can't make them who you want them to be. The only person you can control is you. So focus on making yourself who you want to be. Faster, stronger, smarter, more humble, less ego. Discipline your body, free your mind. Get up early and go. Get after it, and you will become the person you want to be. And you become that person through one small decision at a time. Yeah, as you can see, this is a book of mantras.
Yes, sir.
And then, but it's not all that. It's also, there's also some, there's actually a bunch of pragmatic information. Here's one section like that. Stress. First of all, and I don't mean to minimize the stress people face, but imagine what Eugene Sledge went through on Peleliu and the tens of thousands of Marines there who suffered unimaginable horror. Imagine David Hackworth assaulting enemy positions in Korea, wounded over and over again, on the line, still going back for more. Imagine the poet warrior Alan Seeger in World War I getting ready to go over the top and make his rendezvous with death. Imagine the thousands of warriors who have gone before you, who have stood and faced evil and death. And now imagine you. I used to do this myself while in Iraq facing stress. Yes, we took casualties, and yes, it was awful and heartbreaking and every bit as wretched as I could imagine. But warriors have faced much, much worse. The Battle of the Somme, or Gettysburg, or the Battle of the Bulge, or the Chosin Reservoir. Humans can withstand almost inconceivable stress, and you can too. So that is your first step, gain perspective. And to do that, you must do something critical in many situations. Detach. Whatever problems or stress you are experiencing, detach from them. Stress is generally caused by what you can't control. The worst thing about incoming artillery fire is you can't control it. It is happening, and you just have to accept it. Don't stress about things you can't control. If the stress is something that you can control, and you are not, that is a lack of discipline and a lack of ownership. Get control of it. Impose your will to make it happen. Solve the problem. Relieve the stress. If the stress is something you can't control, embrace it. You can't control it, but how can you look at it from a different angle? How can you use it to your advantage? I couldn't control the chaos of combat. I had to embrace it. I had to figure out a way to take advantage of it. Make it into your ally. So don't fight stress. Embrace it. Turn it on itself. Use it to make yourself sharper and more alert. Use it to make you think and learn and get better and smarter and more effective. Use the stress to make you better. This is one that, you know, I kind of have to go over this one, and it's again, there's a bunch of these, and they're all very short like this, or within these types of lengths. It's the kind of thing you can read for 3 minutes before you start your day, before you work out, before you go to bed at night. Maybe that might not be the best idea, because if you read, you know, you might start getting the ideas in your head, and I have a real problem with that. Like, I have ideas in my head. If I have ideas in my head, do you ever can't sleep? Does that ever happen to you?
Why you gonna look at me like that?
I'm just wondering.
Is that a thing?
Because it doesn't seem like you'd be like coming at me with like, I have a lot of trouble sleeping.
Right. Doesn't
It
seem
seems like you would fully embrace sleeping, like I might embrace stress.
Yes, sir. Yeah, to answer your question, yeah, man. For that reason, for sure.
See,
like, you get a
that,
cool idea, and you can't wait. Like, I can't wait to see a cool idea.
The thing that's kind of cool about you, though, is if you get a good idea at midnight, you can just get up and start working on it and sleep until 10.
Yes, sir.
No factor. Me, I got, like, you have, I think you don't have any schedule really of any kind.
Not as far as regular schedules go. No, I don't.
So other people have things that they have to do in life on a daily basis.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one, this is not the kind of things that you want to read like right before you go to bed. Maybe, because for me, what happens, it's the weirdest thing. I've never done a psychedelic drug before, but it kind of feels like a psychedelic drug where my mind is going down paths. Like, I'm thinking about something and I can feel it. Like, you know, when like an old school special effect, when you go through some like space tunnel or like a space time tunnel,
some wormhole,
some wormhole scenarios, right? So I'll be doing that, and then all of a sudden it'll go like a roller coaster off to a side and go down. I'll go down some other. What do you call it? I'll go down some other wormhole of thought, but then it just branches off and it just keeps going. So it's like I'm going 1,000 miles an hour inside my own head. Then there's no way I can sleep.
Yeah, I can see how that could be. For sure.
It's a bummer. So I would say use a little caution if you're going to read them before you go to bed. I would more read them in the morning. I would more, read them during the day. Have the book sitting out. Have it, like in a place where you're thinking about it. And you can pick it up sometimes. Here's one called Compromise. When working with other people and dynamic situations and relationships and deals, a person, especially a leader, must compromise, finding the common ground between teams, merging different approaches to the same problem, bridging personalities with people who might not get along, reaching agreements and courses of action. All these require compromise. And in many cases, a failure to compromise is a failure to succeed. So it's important because, a lot of times people might, well, not even might. A lot of times people have the impression there's like no compromise. Yeah. When the reality is like, oh, what do you want to do? That sounds like a good idea. Let's move in that direction. As a leader, you actually have to do that. A good leader does that. A good leader compromises to a lot of things, right? Of course, you're going to have principles and values that you can't compromise, but those should be small. Yeah. Well, not small. They're huge, but they should be a small number of things. So going back to the book, but those are external compromises with other people, other humans that have their own personalities and ethos and issues, and compromise is needed in order to unify. So to work with them, compromise is a must, but internally it's different. With myself, I have to hold the line. There are areas within myself where I cannot compromise. I am going to work hard. I am going to train hard. I am going to improve myself. I am not going to rest on my laurels I'm going to own my mistakes and confront them. I am going to face my demons. I am not going to give up or give out or give in. I am going to stand. I am going to maintain my self-discipline. And on those points, there will be no compromise. Not now, not ever. So reading that right before I go to sleep, probably not going to do it because then I'd probably be doing burpees in the corner of the room. But ton of these things, I'm going to skip through a bunch of them right now. There's one that I like in here. It's called binary code. I know you like that because you're a computer expert.
Well, yeah, sure. Expert, hell yeah.
Jade likes this one.
Jade likes this one, yeah.
It says, machines make their decisions based on binary code, yes or no. It is not complicated. Are you going to work out? Yes or no. Are you going to get up? Yes or no. Are you going to get off the couch? Yes or no. Are you going to eat that donut? Yes or no. This is not complicated. And sometimes you have to put yourself into this mode, binary decision making. Are you going to be weak or strong? Are you going to be healthy or unhealthy? Are you going to improve your life? Are you going to make it worse? Are you going to sacrifice long-term success for short-term gratification? You know the right answers. You know the right decisions. Don't overcomplicate. Binary decision making. Make the right decisions.
That's your whole deal right there.
It's kind of a big part,
That mode. And it's more about yourself, though, I think. Like with other people.
That's the thing. That's the thing. What's so strange about this is this stuff rings so true in my head for me. But like with other people, as a leader, interacting in relationships, this doesn't work.
Yeah, it's weird. But yeah, when it comes to stuff that like you're talking, and to be honest, like with me, like even just like the look, like if I tend to from time to time or whatever go down certain over explanations and like all this stuff or whatever, and you're looking at me with the zero, like a straight up zero, almost like it's literally
what's a
not
zero. What's a zero?
You got the 1 and you got the 0, right? You got the positive value, negative. I'm assuming. I don't know.
Got it.
And
the value of your statements is 0. I got it. That's how I'm looking at you.
You're literally looking at me like that, kind of like, oh yeah. And here's the thing, though, that's real beneficial too, though, and that's part of this whole wave, I think, anyway. Where I'm over here. We're all in our own head from time to time, if not all the time or whatever. And then it's good to have that little reflective like situation where I'm saying what's in my head to see how it sort of lands on the outside world. And when that thing is literally like not computing at all, you're like, all right, well, I guess I can do away with that thought, kind of thing. And then, sometimes you'll have like a reaction that's, okay, that's maybe viable or whatever. And after a while, all those zeros and ones sort of kind of formulate a little line of code, and then we can go do some things, kind of thing. And that's kind of like the influence. But it's interesting how that you put it in that book where you got to get in that mode, because you can't be like that with everything, But bro, sometimes you just get in that mode and you're like, all right, like especially with the workouts. I mean, that's an obvious one where you're like, bro, you're going to work out or not? And if you're like later, oh, okay, so no, then are you going to work out right now? Because that's what the plan was, or that's what you were trying to do or whatever, right? And then if you're like, oh, I'm not, it's like, oh, it's real clear, you know? So yeah, man, if you can get in that mode when you need to.
Either yes or no.
Yes or
and
no.
And that's the thing. I think to complement what you're saying, when you take all that gray area out, this is the important thing. When you take the gray area out, you know what the right answer is, right? You can make a lot of things that make it seem like there's a whole bunch of different options there, but there's really only two options. You're either going to work out or you're not.
Yeah.
And all these other little things that you're thinking, they're not. They're just junk.
Yeah.
Right? They're just junk.
Yeah. That gray area, as you mentioned, it's like there's so much danger in there. There's so much oil and slippery stuff in there, bro. Leave that out, man. Yeah. So like, okay, the workout, right? Well, it's a big gray area you can throw in there. I'll do it later. That's one, right? Because the fact is, you can do it later and get it done straight up.
Kind of.
You got something super important. Like, that's a possibility, But you start throwing that in there, it's like, oh, man, that becomes dangerous. Because I would say if considering that I'm a normal person, if I throw in the idea of I'll do it later, the chance of me doing it later goes down way more. If compared to if I just say, hey, am I going to do it now or am I not going to do it? Am I going to do it or not going to do it?
So wait a second. Explain that to me. So if you had 3 choices, do it now, do it later, don't do it. The easiest pick is kind of do it later, right? But do it later doesn't lead to execution.
It doesn't directly lead to execution.
What's your percentage of, when you say you'll do it later, what's the percentage of execution later?
Well, now we're going deeper because do it later, what does that actually mean? How later? In an hour later?
Let's
or
say
tomorrow later?
In a window of time that could still be considered part of this scenario.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. I would say a maximum. So my later, we got to establish that later as opposed to tomorrow, because that's you missed the workout.
Later
today.
Is definitely, I mean,
same day.
In this scenario for a workout, we're definitely talking about today.
Same day.
Right.
Yeah, that's usually like a 3, 4, 5, 6 hour window. So if I can, so the percentage of me doing it later, it's weird because you know how maps kind of form in your mind. So if I don't get it done in the morning, like before noon.
Because you want to get your lunch.
Or what? Yeah.
Wait, do you work out on an empty stomach?
Yeah. So
yeah, me too.
The norm is I don't eat nothing until
the workout is done.
Dinner time.
Okay.
Dinner and then late dinner. That's sort of it.
Wait, did you say dinner and late dinner?
Yeah.
So 2 dinners.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Dinner with the fam.
You never shared this with me, bruh.
Yeah, and then the go to bed dinner. That's the deal.
Interesting.
But how the window goes, and it's just a schedule that established itself in my mind, is a workout during the day or during the morning. Mm-hmm. If I don't do that, it's a 4:30 workout. Pretty much 4:30 across the board.
That's cool. So you put a little deadline on yourself. That kind of becomes binary, right?
Yes.
It's either now or it's at 4:30.
Yeah.
That's kind of a good program.
Yeah.
What happens at 4:30?
I work
out. You get it done. So you're saying get it done later. Actually, you do a good percentage of getting it done later.
Yeah, but that's you make a really good point because technically I did go binary in almost like a second level binary situation, which starts to become less and less binary for sure.
It's either now or 4:30.
Yeah, so I kind of
for me 4:30 means different. It means 12 hours prior.
4:30 in the morning. Yeah, but yeah, man. But again, and I do this naturally, and it's good to have these kinds like this book or whatever to sort of point it out for you. Where if I don't get it, if I'm not prepping the workout, drinking water out there, shoes on, blah blah blah. If that's not happening between 4 and 4:30, if I get to 4:45, 5, if it's past 5, it probably won't happen. Yep. Just because there's other things that the household kind of needs me for, you know.
It's so cool that your mind can be so easily reset. Like you're like, oh, you've got this book. Like if you pick this book up and you're reading it, you're gonna get it done, right? I mean, you're it's gonna hit you. It's gonna hit you. You're gonna think to yourself, you know what? That's correct. I need to go do this. Yeah. I need to control myself. I need to make this happen. I need to go and execute. I need to go into binary mode and make this happen. Like you have so much influence over your brain. That's so good if you put your brain on the right wave. Because if you put it on the right wave, you're gonna go places. If you put it on the wrong wave, we're going down the wrong place, man. We're going in a bad way. So and it's incredible that you can so easily put here's the difference. You can put it takes a small bit of effort. You pick up this book, you read it, right? You're like, gonna go get something.
Sure, hell yeah.
That took a small amount of effort. Mm-hmm. Very small amount of effort, and it puts you on the right path. What's strange is if you don't do anything, we know where it goes, right? It just kind of, the other wave is just kind of there, just always just pulling at you, just dragging you down. Always. It's just constantly there.
Yeah. I mean, the wave analogy is really good, really spot on because like if you're in the ocean, right, you're going this way, you're going that way, you're going there. So every once in a while you catch a current, go, kind of in this direction for a significant amount of time or whatever, or distance. And then, but bro, if you get on one of those waves, bro, you're going full speed.
You know what, too? You can get caught in a rip current that's pulling you out to sea like in a bad way, right?
Oh, yeah.
You go down the downward spiral of horribleness, addiction, and savagery, right?
Wrong wave. Yeah, it's true. But I've always looked at this book as like I mean, it seems like a field, like a for real manual. You know how like, okay.
It's called a field manual.
Exactly right. So you know how like if your car has a, I don't know, check engine light or,
Yep.
you know, whatever, some issue with your car and you're not, you know, super well versed in like auto mechanics, whatever. And you're like, hey man, I better look into this. I got a small issue with my car. I got to know how to solve this issue. Where do you go? The freaking owner's manual. Or a mechanic, but whatever. Let's say if you needed some answers, you go to the manual, you know?
Yep.
That manual is for your car, straight up. You can go on the internet for sure, but you go to the manual, you're going to get the answer for your question or whatever. It's directly linked to your issue with your specific car. This manual, if you regard that as your manual for not necessarily your physical, but for how you are going to be, those answers are for you. Then all day. Because, you know, it's easy to go on the internet, the gram, right? I'm a following inspirational person, you know, and maybe that applies to me, maybe it doesn't. And then after a while, it's all just sort of like, yeah, I heard that before. Cool saying. Let me go back to what I was doing, kind of a thing. And it sort of doesn't land anymore. But if you regard, again, like this book for you, like you need, and you say, you know, just how you said a second ago, where you can just pick it up and just read part of it, you know, for a minute or whatever. That answer, whatever you read, that is for you.
Isn't it crazy though that like, and that's what one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this is because like that whole thing with Seth, like I needed my own book. I needed to go to the owner's manual.
Yeah.
I needed that myself. I wrote these words. I contemplated them. I lived through them. I garnered the experience. And then at the moment in time, I actually needed to go to this manual and say, what am I supposed to do right now?
Yeah, exactly right.
And that there's all kinds of, I mean, that's an extreme example. But, you know, even as I read like the binary code thing, it's like, yes. Oh, yeah. How easy is it to just go in that other wave over there that's kind of going to a horrible, you know, lame, weak place?
Filled with gray excuses and justifications. If you're good at justifying stuff, gray all day. You know, not black and white anymore.
So that's what the thoughts, and there's a bunch of these more, and this the new field manual. That's the difference. Is I added a bunch more into this thought section about mind control, and about weakness, and about destroyer mode, and about the application of discipline, and about the fear of failure, and about what to do when you're not feeling it, and what to do when you get overwhelmed, and how to detach, and how to handle defeat, and just all these things that we need help with, that I need help with, that we as human beings need help with. A bunch of stuff in there that you can pick up and that will keep you on the path. But as we know, thoughts only go so far, right? We have to take action, which is the next section of the book. It is called Actions. And the first little section in Actions is physical training. Subtitle, Getting After It.
Yes, sir.
Physical training. Back to the book. There are all kinds of benefits from physical training. You will be healthier. This is a fact. By working out, you will increase your endorphins, testosterone, growth hormones, cardiac volume, insulin sensitivity, and natural killer cells. Those changes will help prevent or treat the following health issues: high blood pressure, obesity, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, insomnia, and depression. Boom. Still not convinced? Working out will make you smarter. Yes, smarter. It improves blood flow to the brain. It boosts growth hormones that promote growth of new nerve cells. It improves synaptic plasticity, the ability for neurons to send and receive messages. It releases brain chemicals that help cognition, like dopamine, glutamate, norepinephrine, and serotonin. It also boosts the production of brain-derived neurotropic factor, a protein that helps with mental processes. But don't just take my word for it. Go, do, get some exercise done, and pay attention to your mental state. You will feel more aware, sharper, and smarter. This is real. There you go. This is like, oh, why do you want to physically, why do you want to work out? It actually makes you smarter. Look, it makes you stronger. It makes you more healthy, but my daughter, my oldest daughter was taking a final exam today.
Sure, finals week all day. Yeah.
She's all stressed out, you know, because she likes to get whatever high grades and stuff.
Yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah, and she was like, I go, you need to go, and it just so happened, where did I see this? I was reviewing for this book, but I was reviewing, like, I did a bunch of research and read a bunch of stuff, because look, I know I feel smarter and better when I work out, but when I was writing this book, I said, okay, what is that? So I started asking. I talked to Peter Attia too. I was like, hey, what is up with this? And these are the kind of things, these big words, these big medical words that I put in there. Yeah. Right?
Sure.
So I told my daughter, I said, go for like at least a 20-minute workout before this examination. Yeah. And she did. And I was like, okay, cool. So that's what you need. That's why we're working out. That's why we're working out. It's so obvious that it's so good for you. And even from the earliest of podcasts, Echo Charles, you made this statement. Exercise is like the thing that you can do in your life that will positively impact the most other things in your life.
Yes, sir.
Which is a bold statement and a true statement, in my humble opinion. Stress, the good and the bad. This is an area where I talk about stress. And look, in order to improve, we need stress. We need to push the body and the mind in order to get better. One of our main physical reactions to stress is to release the hormone cortisol into the body. It has a multitude of effects, including making glucose available to the brain. So I go into this, what it does, what stress does to you. And it's positive because it generates energy, it focuses energy, it focuses you on immediate threats, it prepares you for immediate threats. So that stuff is all good. It allows you to do better in the world. But you can also go overboard with it. Stress can be bad. So I go through that. Too much stress and the cortisol is released too often. It's like a car running in the red. So I go into that whole thing. So what we have to do is you have to stress the body and the mind in order to improve. But obviously, you can't overstress it. So I talk through that whole thing. And here's something I was like, I'll cover this on the podcast. This section is called sleep.
Cool.
This is for the haters. Can I use that word and not be a 15-year-old girl?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
The haters.
Yeah.
So obviously, I get up early every day and get stuff done.
Oh man, you took it back down the other day. What up?
Oh,
What happened on that one?
Oh yeah, I was traveling. So good point. So the other day I was traveling. My flight was delayed or whatever, and I didn't get back into SD until midnight. Got home at 12:30, and I had spent a couple days on East Coast time, so I wasn't even really I wasn't tired. So I probably fell asleep at like 1:30. My alarm went off at 4:30, and I was like, all right, I'm going to play this, see what this feels like at 4:30. At 4:30, I was like, yeah. So I went back to sleep.
Yep.
Why? Because sleep is good for you.
Yes, sir.
And if you don't have enough sleep, you don't perform well. You don't think well. Now, listen, here's the thing. People go crazy with this, right?
Yeah.
And people, you should read this. You should, like they say, oh, if you have less than 8 hours of sleep, you're like being a drunk.
Yeah.
That is just factually untrue, right? I'm telling you, I have, you've been to the muster, right? At some of the early musters where Leif and I are on stage, we're answering questions, we're interacting with people, we're role playing, we're going through dynamic scenarios. We're performing high level cognitive tasks for 8.5, 9, 10 hours straight. We had 1 hour of sleep. Not kidding. There's some of those musters, the New York muster, I think, we had 1 hour of sleep.
Yeah.
So if before the muster I had done 16 shots of Jägermeister, the muster would have been a lot different. Now, some people might have liked it. Most people would have wanted their money back.
Interesting.
So, look, sleep. So this is, people think I don't like sleep or I don't support sleep or I think, and it's not true. And I would say when people, you think you're giving people advice that's unhealthy. Here's the actual advice that I give people from the book. Sleep is a necessity. Humans need sleep. Failure to get enough sleep has serious side effects. Lack of sleep can cause negative hormonal changes, interfere with the metabolizing glucose, increase blood pressure, and suppress the immune system. Less sleep also means less human growth hormone in your body, which means less muscle mass and weaker bones. Mentally, the brain is impacted as the ability to pay attention and concentrate begins to diminish, and problem solving and basic reasoning becomes less acute. Furthermore, over an extended period, there are psychological effects like paranoia and even hallucinations. So that's me talking about sleep. You need to sleep. I'm not anti-sleep.
Isn't there a thing called a fast sleeper? I
Yes.
read something about that.
We'll get there. We'll get there. So check this out. But how much sleep is enough? Different people need different amounts of sleep. Newborns can sleep up to 17 hours a day. Toddlers can sleep 12 hours a day. As people grow older, less sleep is required. Teens generally need 8 to 10 hours. And by the time people are full adults, 8 hours becomes the standard, even though the actual number is between 7 and 9 hours, depending on the individual. Some people genetically need even less sleep than that, but those people are rare. I'm one of those people. And this isn't, I don't have the proof. Well, here's my proof. I guess not even proof. My oldest daughter is like me. Like last night she was studying. She went to bed at midnight. I woke up at 4:30. She's up. And then she took an exam. Cognitive not impaired, right? She's going to get an A. Sure. You know what I'm saying? So, but my second daughter, that girl likes to sleep. Like she'll get out of bed when you go drag her out of bed, right? Like she likes to sleep. My son, kind of normal, I would say. My wife, she digs that sleep. So some of my kids get some of it. My youngest daughter, she's sort of a little bit, she likes that sleep too. Yeah. But so there is, so I think there is some sort of genetic thing. But it's people also go, well, it's so rare. There's no chance that you have it. Okay, cool. I can only tell you, people say sleep more. I'm not trying to sleep less. I'm more than happy to sleep, but it just doesn't happen. So going on here, but it isn't only genetics. You can also sleep less and fall asleep faster if you are in good physical condition, eating clean, and have a clear mind. For me, the better condition I'm in and the cleaner I eat, the more quickly I will fall asleep and the less sleep I need. Do you notice this? Do you notice that you need less sleep when you're fasting?
I don't notice, but I'm not paying attention to that.
Okay. I like when I'm fasting, I feel like I'm on fire.
For real?
Yeah. And I just did a fast. I just did a 48 hour. And I felt like, again, like I was waking up earlier than I normally wake up.
Yeah.
So while I do have short sleep genetics on my side, equally important is that I stay healthy and eat clean. What about when you eat junk? How don't you need to sleep more?
Yeah, but actually, you know what? It's real inconsistent when you eat junk. When I eat junk, it's sometimes I'll sleep less, but be wanting to sleep more. But the kind like you're tired and you feel sleepy, but you can't like go to sleep. It's like that. There's a lot of that going on.
That's the worst, I think.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You feel like you wish you would sleep more, but you can't.
You kind of can't.
Just get up.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
right.
get up.
And feel like crap or whatever, and sort of maybe catch the next wave of sleepiness. I guess and. On the inverse, when you're talking about like when you exercise consistent, you eat clean or whatever, and it's really different and it's real clear where you feel freaking solid during the day. And then once that bedtime-ish kind of rolls around, you just feel the wave just crash. Yeah. And you're like, it's sleep time.
So
straight
good.
Up.
So good.
Yeah, it's real. Just
when you worked out hard, you had a good day, you ate clean, you get to the end of the day, you're like, boom, you're out.
Bro, that's how I was yesterday. And I got like an hour less sleep than I normally did the day before. So, but I got up solid. Boom. Eating good.
Yeah, now that we're thinking about this, when I have like those weird roller coaster brain rides, that's usually when I'm like, something's messed up, whether I'm eating crap or whatever. Yeah.
Bro, it was the kind like, I do quizzes and story time with the kids before bed every night. This is like 8 o'clock, 8:30. Bro, it was the time like it's the kind in the middle of a question that I'm asking,
you fall asleep. Yep.
Straight up.
That's a good day right there.
Yeah, it's like,
That's
okay,
awesome.
it's about bedtime, you know.
Yeah, I've had that where when my kids were little and I was still in the dorms and you know you're just getting up at 4:30, you're doing whatever you're doing at work, come home, you know, and you're just get in bed to read that story. Next thing you know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. What just happened?
Yeah.
My wife left me in there because she was running around with 3 kids at the time, you know, trying to get them all squared away. She like, oh, you got the kid? Cool. She probably went to a bar. I don't know what she did. No, that girl went to sleep. She used to fall asleep with one kid almost every night. It was crazy. Yeah. So going on here. And finally, I choose not to sleep in. I don't give into the pillow. I don't give into the temptation of warm blankets or soft pillow. I mobilize the will to get me out of bed and get into the game. Obviously, I'm an advocate of waking up early, but since sleep must be a priority to maintain health, how can we get enough sleep and still wake up early? The answer is simple. Go to bed earlier. Go to bed earlier. Now, I'm going to skip a little bit here, go forward. Well, I talk about some of the benefits. Like, what are the benefits? Why do I wake up early? And I mean, first, there's some simple math, but why do you wake up early? The world is yours when you're up before the enemy. There's no traffic. The gym is empty. There's no one to distract you or call you or send you some stupid text about something you don't care about. So there's like all these benefits to being up early. But then going back to the other point, falling asleep. How do you fall asleep? So this is kind of what we were just talking about. Number one, and there's a whole section, I'm going to read some highlights of it. Number one, get tired. Yes, get tired. If you are not active throughout the day, you won't be tired. You know what's weird is recording the podcast, depending on the podcast, I'm usually super wired when we get done recording. Mm-hmm. And then I'm tired. Yeah. You know, it's a mental work.
Yeah, fully.
Number two, turn off the computer. Turn off the smartphone. Stop checking social media and stop watching one more YouTube video. Sure, there's some science that says that the light from the computer and phone screen tricks your mind into thinking it is daylight and time to get up. But on top of that, the internet is filled with professionals that create content with the sole purpose of getting you to click on it. Yes, clickbait is real. And just like the bait used in fishing, it is a trick to get you hooked. So don't click it. You will get nothing positive at all. Number three, read. If your mind is still active when you reach your bedtime, that's okay. Get into bed and get a book and start reading. Reading is relaxing. It settles your mind and makes you smarter. So do it. Dude, I think reading is a massive sleep aid.
Yeah. Yeah, every once in a while, not every once in a while, most of the time, actually, in my experience, because I wouldn't be reading a boring book. Unless it's for a specific purpose, but usually they're interesting books. Mm-hmm. So at first I might be like, oh, kind of excited. Yeah. But yeah, man, after, and it depends on the day or whatever, but it can be like after like 10 minutes, 15 minutes.
You know the kind of books I read because I read them on the podcast all the time. I'm talking about books about war and combat in the most dynamic, heroic situations. Yeah. Like even those books, if I'm reading, I'll be like, oh, if it's nighttime and I'm reading, I will get tired. I'll fall asleep.
Yeah,
I mean,
fully.
I don't fall asleep while I'm reading. I rarely do that, but I'll be like, okay, I'm tired. I'm gonna shut the book and go to bed.
Oh yeah, then that's exactly what I'm saying. Where maybe at first, if it's like super interesting or exciting or whatever book, you're like, at first you're like, oh man, let's get some reading going, you know, about this whatever you're reading about, and then after, like I said, it depends on how your state of mind is, but as far as time goes, but after a little while, bro, you're ready to go sleep.
I just got done reading a book for the podcast that it was a book that I was actively couldn't sleep because I just was like, I'm gonna read more of this because I want to know what's about to happen. It's freaking crazy. For sure. Number 4, most important, the key to getting to sleep early is getting up early. No, it might not help you tonight, but tomorrow night it will. If you need 7 full hours of sleep and you want to get up at 4:30 a.m., that means you need to go to bed at 9:30 p.m. But it is hard to force yourself to sleep at 9:30. So you stay up until 11:30. You should still get up at 4:30. Yes, that will only be 5 hours of sleep. And yes, you will likely feel tired throughout the day, which is actually good because at the end of the day, you want to be tired. Now you can go to bed at 9:30 and get yourself back on track.
Yeah.
That's the part that people, if you want to be tired at night at 9:30, you need to get up early. You can't get up at 9 in the morning and expect to be tired at 9 at night. It won't happen.
Yeah.
And the last thing is do it every day, right? And this is like, weekends, whatever. Just do the same time. Look, if you want to give yourself an extra half an hour, I don't even recommend that. I recommend you get up at the same time every day.
Yeah, that here's a mistake I think that, well, when I say some people, me, I make this mistake, or I have made this mistake straight up, where I'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm going to do that. I want to get up early, earlier, whatever. So I'll just wake up earlier and be tired throughout the day. But what I did is I didn't look at the big picture. I was like, oh, I'll just automatically be tired at night, But what I did was I would laze through the day, skip workout, a lot of laying down on the couch, a lot more than normal. And then, you basically, since you're tired, you kind of adjust your activity accordingly, in a bad way. So you do just way less. And then nighttime comes, you're not as tired as you could have been if you just went about your normal routine. Sure, you got to power through it a little bit harder for sure if you're on less sleep or whatever. But at the end, when it comes time to sleep, which was your goal, it's going to be way more it's going to happen way easier, or it's going to happen. In my case, it just straight up doesn't happen. I'm freaking up late again. Can't go to sleep, whatever.
Yep. Got to be careful.
So yeah, do the normal routine. Don't be slacking.
I got a little section on here on power naps. People are like, do you take naps? Yes, I do. If I'm super tired, but I explain the whole thing in here, elevate your feet above your heart, which I learned from one of my high school teachers. And then I only sleep for like 8 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you're really tired, 8 minutes seems like you just got a full-on massive amount of sleep.
Yeah, remember we were talking about the two types of tired? There's like, there's sleepy tired, and then there's like
physical fatigue.
Yeah.
Tired.
And then, you know what? It kind of, in the whole 8-minute nap thing, sometimes 6 minutes, it's almost like, and this is all, what do you call hypothesis? We'll say that where if you could just if you just did like a marathon freaking podcast or after you do a podcast you mentioned where you're kind of tired, something that required like cognitive effort for a somewhat sustained amount of time. You're not exhausted physically, but mentally you might have like this sharpness that you usually have is just dull because like you're like it's almost like a superficial conscious like cognitive like ability almost. That's what it almost seems like. So if I'm working on something on the computer like admin numbers or freaking stuff, not editing stuff like work for like 3 hours. And then it's workout time, I'm going to take one of those 6 minute, 8 minute, and it helps so much.
Yep, for sure.
But the thing is, like 6 minutes, 8 minutes, what can possibly recover in that amount of time?
Try it.
It's something.
It's real.
Oh yeah, it's real, and it's like.
You ever have a dream in 8 minutes?
Oh yeah,
I have full on dreams.
And you ever have those little half dreams? Like okay, so usually it happens.
Does your body move? Right?
Yes, but it's something very specific though, where. Sometimes you just like feel like, oh, you just jump, ran almost like arbitrarily.
Oh no, for me it's because someone's swinging a battle axe at my head in my dreams. So I'm like,
that makes sense. But yes, it's that though. It's something specific where like the other day I was getting one in, and my son in my little dream, it lasted literally like 2 seconds. It's like a 2-second dream almost, and my son like ran under my legs. And I had to jump over him in my dream. Yeah. So I jumped, and I'm like, that's what caused me to jump. But I remember it was my son ran under my legs.
That sounds a lot more pleasant than a battle axe.
Yeah.
A barbarian with a battle axe.
Yeah, mine are
kill you.
Probably a lot different than yours for sure.
Next section. The workouts. Everyone wants to know, what should a workout actually consist of? And first of all, let me say this. The most important thing is to do something. Anything. Walk, jog, calisthenics, swim, lift some weights, hike, stretch, do burpees, play a game of basketball, or go get on the jiu-jitsu mat. Some people aren't sure what to do for a workout, but that is often just an excuse. Exercise doesn't need to be some complex, multi-level, multi-dimensional, scientifically proven methodology, but it does need to be something. So go through a whole section about the workouts, and then I actually put workouts in the book. To see the actual workouts, go to appendix, the workouts. Again, use the workouts as a guide. Learn about your own body. Push yourself. Most important, be consistent. And consistency starts with getting in the gym. If you are tired or sore or burned out, don't just give up completely. Go to the gym and stretch, move, do some light exercises, but keep the routine in place. Too often people take the day off, and that turns into 2, and 2 into 3, and then they've gone a week without getting in a good workout. So maintain the routine, maintain the discipline. I didn't cover this section, but I've had a lot of people like this attitude. You're tired, you're sore, you feel like you need a day off. Cool. Do it tomorrow. Right. Still do the workout today. Do it tomorrow because it's
do it tomorrow as in take the day off tomorrow.
Take the day off tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Take the day off tomorrow. So, you go into that spot. You're like, you know what? I could probably just I worked out really hard. It's been 6 days. It's been 3 days straight. I'm kind of tired. I'm kind of sore. I do have this, project due. I should really take the day off today. Okay, cool. You can take the day off tomorrow. Yeah. Still have to do it today. Yeah. And guess what? You wake up tomorrow, you don't need to take a day off. It was all just negotiation.
Yeah, it was all.
But the cool thing is, maybe you do need a day off. Cool. You wake up the next day and you're like, God, I am so cool. Take the day off.
Yeah. Yeah, and and I've done that before where, I'm going to be honest, I'm not that good at doing that yet. But I've done that before where I'll be like, no, I'm going to power through. In fact, I'm going to go as hard as I freaking can. I'm going to go extra hard, and then I'll take it tomorrow. And then on times where I really did need the day off, the next day I feel even worse. Like it's way more obvious I need the day off. The day off, yeah. But other times it's most of the time it's exactly what you say. It's just the day. You don't feel like it. You freaking whatever you did last night or whatever. It's some other factor that has to do with just the day. The circumstances.
You can also just like have some minimum workout that you must do.
Yeah, I have that.
But like you know what? Oh, you're gonna be you're a millimeter from not doing anything. Okay, I'm going to go do the minimum workout. Right. I'm going to do just this stuff, get it done, and then if I still feel like crap tomorrow, I'll take a legit day off.
Yeah, and another thing that is almost like a thing that gets revealed is that minimum workout thing has obviously a bunch of benefits, but usually, you know how and it again depends on what you were doing before the workout, maybe what you're doing last night, whatever. But a lot of times, once you just get the blood flowing, right? Or once And this is the thing. I don't know the full ins and outs of it. You got to ask an actual fitness person. But it's called priming your body and mind or whatever for a workout. So a lot of times you're just deprimed. I made that word up, deprimed. But you understand what I'm saying, right? It's the opposite of
fully
primed. Sometimes you're just more deprimed than you normally are, and you're just really not into it for other reasons, So sometimes that minimum workout, you're like, all right, and you sort of inadvertently prime your whole deal, and you're like, oh wait, cool. I'm not sore and tired and overtrained. You're just.
I noticed that a lot with any body part, but like your legs for sure. Yes. When it's squat day.
Yeah.
Now we don't know what unseen mechanisms are at work in your brain that are telling you that you're like more sore. But a lot of times you're rolling into squat day and you're feeling in your mind, you're thinking, I'm pretty sore. You're really negotiating hard for that day off.
Yeah.
And you really notice and even your first couple sets, you just do some body weight squats just to warm up. And you're like, ooh, I'm definitely sore. Then you do the bar, then you do the 45-pound bar. You're just getting warmed up.
Yeah.
You take the PVC pipe, you do some overhead squats. You're like, whoa, I'm definitely sore. Yeah. And then when you start putting some weight on, you start realizing, oh, I'm actually not sore. And you start feeling good, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
you were good to go. That happens a lot. Yeah. That happens a lot. It seems to happen a lot on the good old squat day too.
So when you say, and this is more your personal thing, like your squat day or whatever, will you do just squats or legs or whatever? Or is it like you're doing...
Yeah, I mean, I do some other stuff, but yes, I will be...
Like other body parts or other exercises for legs?
No, really, it's just squat day. You know? Squat day, which encompasses all kinds of different leg work, we'll say.
Yeah, I've always done multiple body parts, but usually squat day would be just part of just a multiple body part day. But when I switched, it was a hack. kind of out of laziness in a way, where I'd be like, you know what, I'm just going to designate one day for just squats. And then I started incorporating just a small muscle group, like a curls situation, or maybe some triceps, then do the squat, something that's not going to exhaust. So if I do like shoulders, for example, depends on the workout, obviously, but if I'm going like hardcore shoulder press, then freaking superset of this and that, you know, a whole shoulder workout, and you want me to go do squats now? After the age of about 30, that started to be less and less of a sustainable thing mentally in my mind.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. So you've gotten mentally weaker as you've gotten older?
Yes, sir, I have. Apparently.
That's strange. But, you sure you just didn't get it smarter, where you realized if you really wanted to push, you needed to focus, you need to prioritize and execute?
I would say that that's a good way of putting it, making it sound better.
Oh, rationalizing it?
And maybe rationalize it, or maybe that was the case the whole time, you know, where I could be benefiting way more from this leg workout if I just soloed it one day rather than doing a big other body part workout than the legs, and vice versa too. Because sometimes I would do the squats first and then suffer through a shoulder workout or something like this. You know? But now, anyway, like
it's
I do like
it's weird too. Like I always, if possible, lift before jiu-jitsu. Yeah. Right. Do you do that?
Yeah, 100%.
And I'll tell you, it's not because it's because jiu-jitsu, I don't want to go and work out. I would rather go to jiu-jitsu with some muscle fatigue than go to work out with muscle fatigue.
Yeah.
Even though, that seems backwards. That seems counterintuitive.
Oh, I never thought so.
Because you think, well, I'm going to compete against Echo, so I want to be ready to go.
Yeah. So
that seems like the intuitive thing, but I would much rather just be a little bit tired when I'm rolling with whoever than to be tired when I roll into the gym.
Yeah. Well, no, I think if you know the dynamics of both types of workouts, I think it's obvious that you do want to do a lifting before jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu has quick diminishing returns with strength.
Yeah, true.
Very quick.
Yeah.
Endurance, not so much, but muscle like strength or whatever, it's quick. But it's the opposite for lifting weights. So you need your strength. You don't necessarily need that much endurance, depending on the workout, obviously. Yeah. But as far as lifting weights goes, you don't need that much endurance. But when you go to jiu-jitsu, if you don't have that much strength, but as long as you can kind of sustain and, you know, do this thing, I mean, you're not going to run like a whole CrossFit Games routine and then go to jiu-jitsu and think you're going to feel good. I mean, it's a little bit different, you know, but.
That's true. Although I'll tell you, like, I'll do some crazy workouts and still go to jiu-jitsu and barely remember that. I mean, and I'm not talking I go like walk from one to the other. You know, I work out in the morning really hard, and then in the afternoon I'm going to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. I mean, by that time you got what, 80-90% of your strength back, so it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, and jiu-jitsu is different like that, because your energy output in jiu-jitsu is it's variable, very much so, and you can modulate fully, like, and you know, it's going to obviously depend on who you're rolling with as well. You go with a tornado dude who's good, it's like, bro, you're going to feel that workout in the morning if you have that kind of day. But if a normal day of jiu-jitsu, where some guys you go hard, sometimes you go medium, sometimes you don't have to go as hard as far as that goes, you can modulate and navigate through the energy output easy. But as far as like the type of exercise versus the other type of exercise, lifting, whatever, if you switch them around, you do jiu-jitsu first and all that sort of sustained output, and you think you're going to go into a lifting and freaking push hard, quit, negative.
That's a weird thing, man. It's a weird thing, but it seems to be you and I are in agreement on that. Yes, got a section in here on building a home gym, and this is obviously with the world that we're in right now with COVID. This is a very good thing to have, a home gym, and you can. I go through all the kinds of different things that you should get first, and the considerations. You know, getting a pull-up bar and other things like, you know, I don't have enough money. I mean, you can get a pull-up bar for $9. At Home Depot. I'm not even talking about, you know, you go and whatever. You can get a piece of pipe. You have a pull-up bar. You can get a set of rings for pretty cheap. Like there's ways that you can make it happen. So I got a little section in there on building a home gym.
Yeah, the home gym thing, I think the primary factor that you really have to kind of consider and navigate is the space. More so than the money. Because money is like, for the most part, you can like spend way less or just, you know, make payments or whatever.
Yeah. Even the space, though, you see people that do really cool, creative things to get good workouts in a small space.
Yeah, you do.
And you really need very minimal equipment to be in awesome shape. Really, the only piece of equipment that I think you actually need is a pull-up bar. Because if you have a pull-up bar, you can do pull-ups, but you can already do push-ups, not dips, but push-ups. You can do all kinds of chest variation, push-up variation. Like you can get crazy with push-ups. There's millions of different varieties of push-ups you can do. You can do squats. You can do lunges. You can do basically your whole body. You can do handstand push-ups for your shoulders. Like there's so many things that you can do if you just have a pull-up bar. If you don't have a pull-up bar, you're kind of
that's true, huh?
Yep.
Like you can't just like because all those things that you said aside from the anything pulling or whatever. You don't need anything. You just need the ground.
You just need the ground.
Yeah, man. Maybe a wall. A wall would help, or a tree, or whatever.
Almost every building has a wall.
Yes, and or a tree or some thing outside or whatever, you know. But yeah, the pulling thing, it's hard to access if you don't have like a pull-up bar.
Rings are really good because then you can not only do pull-ups, but you can also do dips. And then there's all kinds of other crazy things that you can do with rings. Yeah, so true. Rings are also awesome. The next section is called martial arts. Again, this is my operating system. And part of my operating system, as you just heard us talking about, is martial arts. And I say everyone should train in martial arts just as everyone should eat. But just as food is different and varies greatly in how it affects your body, not all martial arts are created equal. There are 3 broad forms of martial arts: grappling, striking, and weapons. Grappling uses leverage and holds to control or submit your opponent. Striking uses punches, kicks, knees, elbows, headbutts, or any other body part to hit the opponent. Martial arts with weapons obviously utilize a variety of weapons, including sticks, knives, and in the modern world, firearms. Perhaps the most critical form of self-defense is the mind. By being smart and aware, you can avoid situations that are likely to expose you to danger. That being said, there are times when your mind and your intelligence can no longer help you. That is the reality. So that's why we train, right? Because there's, as much as someone says, well, I'm able to avoid. There's going to be situations that you can end up in, even if you're completely situational aware and you're looking to avoid situations, they can still happen. That's why you have to train. And I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here because I talk about firearms and the necessity of firearms in certain situations. And I say this, most important, without proper training, possessing a firearm is useless or even more dangerous to its owner than not having one. Learning how to shoot quickly and accurately while under stress is absolutely mandatory if one is going to own a firearm. This means finding a good instructor at a quality range to participate in firearms training. Right? So you got to have a firearm. And I'm going to go back and read a section that I wasn't planning to read, but I'm going to read it anyways. It is the ultimate form of self-defense is the firearm. It is an equalizer without parallel, and it is simply unmatched in its ability to eliminate an attacker regardless of size and strength. If a person truly needs self-protection in a high-threat area, there is no substitute for the firearm. Even in an area that might be considered low-threat, there are no guarantees. There have been horrific home invasions, carjackings, kidnappings, and other vicious and violent attacks in some of the most prestigious neighborhoods in the world that were also considered to be the safest. There is no choice but to be prepared. So, firearms, talk about some of the training and what you do, and some of the benefits of it. Firearms training builds hand-eye coordination, speed, concentration, and instincts. It demands repetitive movement, develop muscle memory. So there's other benefits to utilizing firearms than just self-protection. Training competitively for speed and accuracy conditions you for high-pressure situations by teaching the need to relax, detach, and get control of your breathing and focus on the immediate task at hand. Like, you can apply that to anything, not just to shooting. So there's some real benefits to firearms. And then I go on here, but firearms are not always available. There are many places in the world where carrying a gun is illegal. There are also times where firearms malfunction. It is also important to know how to defend yourself in unarmed situations, which brings us back to martial arts. First, let me say that the martial arts are very emotional for some people. Their martial art becomes their religion and they become blinded by it. Martial arts are not static. They evolve all the time. If you do not evolve with them, you will be left behind. Picking one martial art versus another, or saying that one martial art is better than another martial art, drives some people crazy. I do not engage in irrational theoretical discussions on which martial art is best. There's no reason to theorize anymore. The Ultimate Fighting Championship put many theories to the test. The wars in Iraq and Afghanistan also put many theories to the test about hand-to-hand combat. Finally, every person now carries a video camera in their pocket, and there are thousands of street fights and confrontations to watch on the internet. With all that information readily available, there is no need to theorize anymore. It is easy to see what works and what doesn't. Furthermore, it is also obvious that martial arts are not stagnant. They evolve. People develop new techniques and new moves to counter other techniques and other moves, but the fundamental principles do not change. They only become reinforced. And I give some advice here. Start with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It is a form of grappling that is highly advanced because, for the most part, the actual fighting takes place on the ground. This is a key point because our first form of self-defense is to get away. Yes, run. If you are confronted by another person or a group of people, the best thing you can do is run away. Avoid the conflict. This is relatively easy if someone is trying to strike with you or strike you with punches or kicks. They do not have control over you, so you can simply run away from them. You have won. The problem comes in a self-defense situation when someone is grabbing you. Now they are preventing your first line of defense, running. As soon as someone grabs you, you are in a grappling scenario. And one of the most critical parts of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is escaping someone's grip so you can run. Oftentimes, an attacker will take you to the ground in order to prevent you from escaping their grip. When this happens, the ability to ground fight is used not to stay on the ground, but to get up and get away from the attacker. The first goal of a beginner in Jiu-Jitsu is not to get the fight to the ground, but to get up off the ground and get away. This is an important distinction from people who believe the goal of self-defense in Jiu-Jitsu is to get the attacker to the ground. This is not true. The goal is to get away. But as has been seen over and over again, fights often end up on the ground, and therefore a person must be prepared for it. Not training in jiu-jitsu because you don't want to go to the ground is like not learning to swim because you don't want to go in the water. It doesn't make sense. The safest way to deal with the water is to be comfortable in it, just as being comfortable on the ground is the best way to deal with that scenario should it unfold in real life. Questions, comments from Echo Charles?
I agree.
We can reach back to your days, many days, on the front lines of the bouncing world.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I can't disagree at all.
One of the primary arguments that people give when they, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is no good for self-defense. Why would you take someone to the ground? Why are you taking them to the ground? We're not doing that. We're trying to get away.
Yeah. So, at the muster when we do the Jiu-Jitsu part, and you notice this, and you actually pointed it out, which I liked, but whatever. Where I said, if I choose to fight this guy, how like I'll go through the basic thing or whatever. I confront this guy confronts me, and I choose to fight him. So it's way different than self-defense. That's like I chose to fight this person. And most of the time you add in, just like how you said earlier, where if you don't have a choice to run, like if they grab you or whatever, there's that too for sure. But yes, if you choose to fight him, then you can take him to a ground or whatever. Now, your choice to fight him is going to be based on a bunch of other things. And it better be intelligent, because if you're like, I'm at the club, you said this and whatever, and then you choose to fight him. I don't know if that's the right choice. And now you got a whole different issue than the self-defense situation. That's like a choice that you made or whatever. But if you're, I don't know, fighting with your friend, not your friend, but your enemy after school, and everyone's like circle, I don't know, whatever. There's choices to be made, and if the right choice is to fight the guy, then yes, bring the jiu-jitsu.
Well, then, so then you can use jiu-jitsu, but now you're using it in an offensive situation. Yeah. And so, yes, you probably will want to take the person to the ground.
Yeah, fully.
I mean, if it's a like a one-on-one I'm choosing to fight. Because if it's 4-on-1 and you're choosing to fight, you're just being stupid.
Yes.
You're about to get your ass beat.
Yes, sir. Yeah. The very high likelihood, yes.
Yeah.
I do have a question about the firearms train. Like, you know how you train in stressful situations? What kind of stressful situations can you like put yourself in or whatever?
There's some obvious ones. The most obvious one is time constraints. So, hey, I want to get these shots off as quick as possible, and I'm competing against, Echo's going against me, and we're trying to see who wins. There's a little bit of stress there. Okay. But also, hey, do 30 burpees and then shoot 6 head plates, right?
Gotcha.
So you're breathing hard, sprint, reload drills. That's all those things that just there's a million different ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure those were enough to kind of spark your creativity on what you could do to make it stressful.
Yeah, fully the time. Because it was the last time I went, but I went to the range with Keenan Cornelius, and we just did like a simple fun like contest, kind of like shooting. You play horse or pig or whatever, kind of like that kind of situation. And I actually filmed it, but the video kind of got wonky. I was going to release it, but that did add a little something because it like if you miss or you whatever, it meant something kind of thing. Right. But I wouldn't label it as a stressful training scenario. But time constraints, if it's like, okay, you got time and let's try to get better at it and all this stuff.
Competition. I mean, when you're in the SEAL teams, you're doing freaking competitive shooting against basically all the time you're shooting against somebody. Yeah. Or you shoot against 3 people or 4 people or whatever. So you have that level of stress, but then it's also, you're going to run up that berm, you're going to drag that tire, you're going to come back over here, you're going to shoot 6 head plates, you're going to go back, you're going to get on your long gun, you're going to put down this one. You got all these things that you got to do, and it's all a race, and they're just trying to make you freak out. And then on top of that, once you get into simunition, now you're not shooting real bullets, but you got people maneuvering, you got people, you're throwing flash classes, we got grenades going off, like all kinds of mayhem.
And simunition is just as loud as regular?
No, it's not just as loud. No.
Is it like night and day?
Night and day, yeah.
No kidding. Okay. Because that, I feel like, and obviously I've never been in a straight up gunfight with anyone. Like they're shooting at me, I'm shooting at them. But I would imagine that just hearing other gunshots going on, and that they're at you or intended for you or whatever, that's going to just bring you out of your whole shooting game.
Yeah, the noise of gunshots, it's like if you hear it a lot less when you're shooting like at somebody. You're in the game, yeah. Like it's a lot less. It's not like the little shock that you get when you're at the range or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Even actually, if you get like a good stress scenario going, even in a training situation, you won't really like notice big time. And we used to do our drills. This was back in the day. They used to make, and this is I don't recommend it, but they would make us do some of our immediate action drills with no ear protection in, so that we would like quote get used to it.
Yeah.
But it's loud.
Yeah. So and that was something too that I was wondering where. So if you're in the field, straight up war zone, do you have ear protection?
Yeah, you have. Well, nowadays we have this, and this is another thing that's pretty crazy, is we have the headsets that are noise canceling headsets. Gotcha. And the reason you're wearing them is because you're on the radio. So it's your headphone for your radio, so you can hear, and it's a noise canceling headset. Yeah. So when a loud noise goes off, it cancels out that noise.
Yeah.
So
okay. So when was the first time you ever shot a gun? Do you remember?
In my life?
Yeah, in your life.
It was probably like 8 or 9, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
I think I was younger than 10. But I was up in Maine, and I went out to my friend who was a little bit older than me. We went out to his uncle's farm and shot.
Yeah. So you weren't like surprised by how freaking loud a gun is then?
No, but I think what you're getting at is people that, and I don't really remember enough of like my introduction to firearms to get what you're getting at, which is firearms are freaking loud.
Yeah.
Way louder than anything they could portray in the movies or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, because I never been in a firefight, but it just seems like when you imagine it, when it kicks off and you didn't kick it off with the first shot, if someone else fired the first shot, it seems like you'd just be out of the game if you're not used to it.
Yeah. Well, you definitely, that's another thing, is you get so used to gunshots in the SEAL teams from your training that it doesn't really, like, it's not a shock anymore. Yeah. You're so accustomed to it. It's not shocking. It's like, oh,
yeah, that's true.
Oh, where's that coming from?
Right. Yeah. Even like when you
and
go
also
to
the distance, you know, when someone's a little bit further away from you, the shock is a lot less when you get away from it. You know,
yeah,
like
that's true.
the concussion of the shot.
Yeah.
Now, if they're in the same room as you, it can be pretty dynamic, right?
Yeah, for sure.
We should ask Mike Day.
Oh yeah, how'd that go down?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Like when you go to the gun range, let's say, you know, it's your first time or whatever at the gun range, when you walk in that door and you hear other people shooting, you're like,
yeah,
bro, what the heck?
So have you shot outdoors yet?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, because it's a lot different shooting outdoors than indoors.
Yeah.
A lot different.
Yeah. I don't think it was actually the first time I shot a gun, I think, one of the early times anyway, was outdoors, and I don't think we even had ear protection. And
depending on the gun, I mean, some guns aren't really that big of a deal.
Yeah, we were shooting some louder ones.
Oh, okay.
45 shotgun we were shooting clay pigeons or whatever. And yeah, I remember them being loud, like for real loud, even outdoors. But compared to indoors, it was nothing. Because if you don't wear ear protection, like at the regular indoor gun range, like, bro, you might have some issues.
Yeah, you got issues.
For sure.
But it's good to condition. It's good to stress condition. It's good to get used to those noises. It's good to get used to all those things. This is what we train for. Yeah. And we should not just relegate training to just being in the military. We should train for, you know, other things that can happen in life. And if you are going to have a firearm, you damn well better train with it. Yeah. Going back to the jiu-jitsu thing, I want to read this other little section. Another reason I recommend starting martial arts by learning Brazilian jiu-jitsu is because it is the most complex of the martial arts. Although there is a finite number of moves and positions, there is an infinite number of moves beyond the basics. And more are developed every day in this constantly evolving art. Due to this unending depth in jiu-jitsu, it is also the most cerebral of martial arts. It provides incredible mental stimulus and a never-ending challenge to learn, develop, and improve. Jiu-jitsu never gets old. The next martial art I recommend is learning boxing. Boxing is an incredibly effective striking art despite its relative simplicity. There are only two weapons in boxing, the left hand and the right hand. But with those two weapons, an incredible advantage can be gained if you know how to throw them in effective combinations. Other critical elements learned in boxing are angles, movement, both of which are based heavily on footwork, and speed, which are utilized in both the offense and defense of boxing. With basic boxing knowledge, a person can throw effective punches and avoid being punched, both extremely useful assets when attempting the primary goal of self-defense, run. Boxing develops the ability to hit quickly, avoid being hit, and run away from the area of confrontation. So that's just regular Western boxing. And this is sort of like, again, this is my recommendation. If you're starting from ground zero and you know nothing, this is how I would go about it. Mm-hmm. There can be some argument made that if you were going to a place tomorrow that you needed to be ready to get attacked, then maybe like you'd look at some other form of martial arts. But if that's your situation, like, it's not smart. I mean, and, you know, by that I mean some of these. I don't even know if that's a true statement.
Yeah, I mean, I think it might be. I think it is one of those statements where it just straight up depends. So it depends on what do you mean you're going to be attacked, like just by a person, and is that person going to be trained or no untrained? Are they going to be bigger than you? Or are they going to be equal size? Or smaller, or weapons, and then it depends on who. Like, okay, you might learn, and what is it? Like, okay, you might need these kind of blitz martial arts type situation, like a Krav Maga, or whatever, some cool system or whatever.
I think Narit actually told me that. I think Narit was like, if you had like one day, I would teach somebody some basic Krav Maga stuff.
Yeah, and that could be true for sure. If the instructor is teaching you for that reason, you just got one day, let's pack it in. And then even a jiu-jitsu scenario, it's
here's the problem with that statement. Now that I think through it, in my opinion, the problem with that statement is if you really think that one day is going to help you, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
like it might be the best you could do, but it's only going to give you a 1% better chance than, so don't get yourself in that situation. That's why you make martial arts a part of your life.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be a life thing.
Yeah. But the thing is, that is a thing though, where like even Tim Ferriss sort of studies it a little bit. Remember, like, because he took a jiu-jitsu thing where he was like, hey, I need to know the most that I possibly can to be effective in this small, short amount of time.
Oh, this was like his TV show, right?
It was one of his things. Yep. And I was like, oh, that's an interesting theory, because that's not the way you train jiu-jitsu at all. And, they taught him like the guillotine was one of them that they taught, because there's not all these like factors you have to kind of establish before you can execute the move, or not as many or whatever. That was kind of the thing. And anyway, the point is it introduced like an interesting approach to these things, this real short-term approach. How can I get the most effectiveness out of it if I only have a short amount of time rather than infinite time, So but again,
that's cool too, because you could also, it'd be if someone said, I'm going to go to this place tomorrow and there's a high likelihood I get attacked, I would be taking very small parts of various martial arts.
Yeah.
That's what I think I would do. But again, I don't want to make that sound like it's a solution, because I don't want to sound like the freaking magazines that say defeat any attacker in 3 moves. It's a lie.
Straight up.
It's a lie.
Straight up.
So don't think of it that way. Don't even forget I just said that.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. Make martial arts a part of your life.
Yeah.
That's what you need to do. Back to the book. The next 2 martial arts to invest time into are Muay Thai and wrestling. They both add a plethora of options and skills to any fighter. Wrestling is a grappling art, perhaps the most widely known and practiced. Look, I go through a bunch of stuff. I talk about Muay Thai, and bro, Muay Thai is awesome. I think the reason that I would train someone in boxing first before Muay Thai is just for the complexities. Like, Muay Thai is just that much more complex. You can throw elbows, you can throw knees, you can throw kicks. There's a lot more things to learn.
Yeah.
So the first thing I'm going to want to learn is how to throw hands. How to throw hands, get head movement, get angles, work distance. Like, that's all going to come from just boxing without opening up. Because look, I mean, Muay Thai is savage, bro. Muay Thai is savage.
Yeah, that's one of
and it's pain.
That's what I was going to say. Like, that's what you get taught as well. And not like a secondary teaching. One of the primary thinking is like kind of how fragile you are with pain. Where they're kind of like, okay.
Or how much you can get used to it too.
Exactly right. That's part of the training, That's what you do benefit from, taking that pain. Like ribs, legs is a huge one, man. Like a leg kick, body kick, punch. Even when you kick somebody and it lands in the wrong spot, bro, it's like...
It hurts.
It's worse than most hits that you get. Like if you get punched in the face, let's face it, I mean, it seems crazy or whatever, but it doesn't hurt that much. Even if you really get a good one, it more knocks you like dizzy more than it actually is pain.
It's not pain.
Muay Thai is straight up pain. In fact, you, in a way, sometimes you kind of wish you'd stop punching me below the freaking neck, bro, or kicking or whatever. Just punch me in the face. Yeah. That's way better. Way more. It's relief, really, sometimes. But yeah, you get used to that, and that kind of training is very beneficial. Because, man, you kick even in like a real fight or whatever, if you can effectively like leg kick somebody 2, even 3 times or something like this, and they feel that pain, they'll be like, bro, I don't want to fight
you're watching
this guy.
The UFC, you're like, oh, you know what, the guy got kicked in the leg. You think no big deal. You don't know. Here, actually, I was like trying to think, what did I say? Muay Thai adds a massive arsenal of striking options to a fighter. Where boxing utilizes only 2 fists, Muay Thai utilizes fists, elbows, knees, and the shins in very aggressive combinations that are absolutely devastating in a fight. Muay Thai is also about pain and the ability to withstand pain.
Yes, sir.
Legit. Talk about shin conditioning in there. So definitely, look, Muay Thai, awesome. Wrestling clearly is just freaking awesome. Wrestling is a grappling art. The physical grind of wrestling hardens the body and mind without mercy. On top of the conditioning and mental toughness derived from wrestling, it is also the king of position in martial arts, and we see this from the UFC. This is why the wrestlers dominate in the UFC. Meaning, a good wrestler can decide what position they will be in during a confrontation. No other martial art provides the practitioner a better ability to dictate the position of a fight with one simple idea. The main focus of wrestling is to get the opponent to the ground and keep them there. So then I say, once a good base is And again, there's a bunch of details on wrestling, on Muay Thai, on boxing. Once a good base is established in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and Muay Thai, there are plenty of other martial arts to explore. Judo is a fantastic art and has very effective takedowns, especially against an opponent wearing a jacket or shirt. Sambo, I talk about Krav Maga. I talk about Eskrima and Kali and the Dog Brothers. You know the Dog Brothers?
Vaguely, yes.
Yeah, the Dog Brothers are legit. About as legit as it gets. They've been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. But for those of you that don't know the Dog Brothers, they would have these fights with weapons. And basically the guys would wear like lacrosse gloves, I guess, to protect their fingers. And they would wear some kind of like hockey helmet to protect their heads. And then they would use various weapons. They would use sticks, they would use chains, they would use canes, and they would go at it. Like they would fight, and you could tap out, but they were going to fight. You were going to get hit. And you can go watch those videos of the Dog Brothers. But what was cool about it is, and they've been around for a very long time, and it was the most realistic, it's the most realistic weapons fighting, I think that I've seen. And then they would try and learn from it and all that. So very cool stuff that they taught and trained in. And then I say the list could go on and on. There's no reason to ever stop training and learning martial arts. Of course, it is good to be prepared to handle a self-defense situation, but the benefits of martial arts training go far beyond self-defense. Of course, you get physically conditioned. You also get mentally tougher. Real martial arts are hard. They are a mental and physical grind. If the martial art you are training in is easy, it isn't likely doing much good. Martial arts also get you used to being in uncomfortable situations and continuing to fight on. This is important in any endeavor. Martial arts will make you better. So train, don't think about it. Don't take time to get in shape before you start. Just go start. The rest will come. And then I have a whole section in here about where to train, what type of academy, what are you looking for? Thank God the world is improving where there's jiu-jitsu everywhere. Now look, we're going to get through this COVID thing here shortly and all the jiu-jitsu gyms will be back open. Have a section in here on immediate action drills facing a threat. So like talking about what you actually do when bad things are happening. We get mass shooting situations. We got all kinds of problems out there. And, I wanted to talk about how you handle those situations. The next section, man, I hit every controversial. The next section is called Feeding the Machine. and the first section here, and by the way, everyone's going to comment about, what's funny is like people comment, we've had some excerpts put out from us talking about martial arts, and there's people that would call out certain things. And I'll read through the comments and be like, oh, yeah, that's actually accurate. Yeah. I did, I shouldn't have said that, or I didn't mention that or whatever. So if you're going to get all ham, if you get all ham in the comments, go for it, and we'll address them on the Grounded podcast. But some good points are made in there, and like I said, these are if you consider your martial art a religion, and something that I said attacked your religion. If you're a diehard Muay Thai and you think that I'm saying that jiu-jitsu is better to and you want to bring it, I'm sorry. I mean, it's just my thoughts. You can disagree. That's cool. Muay Thai is awesome. Wrestling's awesome. Boxing's awesome. Jiu-jitsu's awesome. I love them all. Train them all. It's all good. But it's controversial for some people.
Yes.
Some people, it's a religion. So you got to be careful of that. So when talking about fuel, like what we are going to eat, this is another thing that can become, kind of controversial and people get crazy on. I got a section here that says addicted to sugar. Sugar is truly addictive. It stimulates the same parts of the brain as heroin and cocaine. When you have it, you want more of it. And you know this to be true. That's why you can't stop eating it. And when you do stop eating it, you will feel withdrawal, headache, irritation, anxiety. Lies. The lies will come, and they will come from you. The lies you tell yourself are, it's no big deal. I can just have a little. It isn't worth it to feel this bad. The body needs carbs. You will rationalize and start to listen to lies. Don't. Stay strong. Get off the sugar train. Get off the addiction. Stop eating sugar. Cocaine and heroin, people. Don't you know what the rats eat? Fuel. Look, I talk about what to eat. And again, this is a religion for some people. For a lot of people, it's a religion. I kind of, hey, here's what I think. Here's what I eat. I eat these things: beef, poultry, fish, eggs, nuts, vegetables, fungi, roots, some dairy, limited fruit. So if you want to get crazy on that, cool. You want to attack me? Cool.
What kind of fungi you eat?
Mushrooms, I guess. And ringworm, I guess. I'll have a double ringworm sandwich, please. Don't eat these: grains, potatoes, refined salt, refined sugar, processed oils, right? So it's just basic stuff. Let's not get crazy. Fasting. Talk about fasting. This section starts off: newsflash, you don't have to eat. Fasting is a gift. Actually, my middle daughter that wrestled, she told me she would think about this, because when she would be cutting weight, she would think, I talk about in here, the human body can live for a long time. Here we go. Humans can survive 30 days without food. You can make it an extra few hours. You can actually make it a few days without any issue. I fast 24 hours regularly. I do 72 hours fasts approximately every 3 months. And you know what? They aren't that big of a deal. When I'm fasting, I still do everything I would normally do if I were eating. I work out, I train jiu-jitsu. I drink water, some tea, maybe eat some sunflower seeds. People freak out. You're not fasting. You ate a sunflower seed. That's what I do. Like, take it easy. So I have something to chew on, but fasting isn't that hard, and you will feel better at the end of it. This is my favorite thing. Fasting will recalibrate what hunger is to you. You'll realize that you aren't actually hungry most of the time. You're just bored. And at the end of a fast, your food will taste better too. That is a factual, beautiful thing. Yep. Food tastes good when you do that. So a whole section on fasting and a bunch of benefits from that. Got a section here dealing with injuries and illness. You are going to get injured. You are going to get sick. Regardless of how careful you are in training, how clean you eat, and how healthy you live, you are still human. Injuries and illness will occur. My theory for overcoming injuries and illness is simple: do what you can. If you're sick or injured, don't use that as an excuse to skip workouts or stay in bed all day. Do what you can. Hurt your knee? Work your upper body. Work the good leg. Hurt your shoulder? Time to work on one-arm pull-ups and push-ups. Focus on your core and legs until your shoulder heals up. Tendonitis from using your grip too much? Sounds like it's time to focus on sprinting and jumping and plyometrics. Got a little cold? Flu? Same thing. Do what you can. Maybe just going for a walk, a couple sets of sit-ups and push-ups, but don't just stay in bed all day. Now, sometimes you get plain knocked out by illness or a virus. If it is that bad and your body absolutely needs rest, good. Listen to your body and take the rest. Also, don't bring your disease to the gym and spread it around. Work out at home. Same thing with injuries. If some injury prevents you from doing the physical things you like to do, good. Do what you can. Work on some skills you can do. Pick up a guitar, write a book, draw, paint, compose a song, blog, create, learn, do something. Take advantage of physical injuries and sickness by doing something you don't normally have time for. In other words, get after it. And I recently did that. When I got COVID, I was like, oh, cool. I can't literally leave my house, apparently.
Right. The rules.
Not supposed to interact with anybody. So, and everybody kind of knew I had it. So I was like, cool. And I just played guitar. A bunch and started digging into a bunch. I've been playing guitar for 35 years, and I've been at the same level for about 34 and a half years. And in the past 2 weeks, I've advanced tenfold on my understanding of guitar. So this isn't just me saying this. It's actually something to do.
The more you do that too, the more you get used to that protocol, where, how sometimes your workouts or your whatever is That's like your main jam. Like, and then you get hurt, and then you're all, you can get depressed or just be so unhappy that you're out of game, can't train jiu-jitsu, and people get all...
It's awful.
But if you're used to that protocol where it's like it essentially opens up opportunity for new developments and growth, for yourself, literally making you a better person, right? So if that becomes a protocol, a normal protocol, when you get injured, it's automatic. You're like, okay, I'm injured. Hey, whatever, junk, but whatever. And then this protocol kind of ensues. And then boom, you're kind of into that for a little bit.
Yeah, because getting injured, it's for people like you, for people like me that are really like do physical stuff. Getting injured is so horrible. Yeah, but I will say I have this protocol where I'm like, oh cool. When I hurt, do you remember when I hurt my elbow? Like Dean wrecked my elbow. I mean, I was in a sling. I've never been in a sling in my life. But like the next day, or maybe it was one day later, like at first I couldn't even do anything. Yeah. But then I was in doing one-arm kettlebell swing and snatches and stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. We're just going to work through this. It'll get better over time. That's what it's going to take. But whatever. Yeah.
It's like even
couldn't play guitar though.
Dang, bro, brutal. The initiating, like the first thing you do is essentially see what you can do and can't do. And then from there you just go forward where it's like, yeah, you do what you can physically, but we know that's not going to be, it's hard to be like mentally on that same level as far as like your enthusiasm to pursue workouts or jiu-jitsu or whatever when you're just doing what you can do, especially if it's a significant injury. But if you can do this other stuff now, you can focus on other stuff or whatever. You have like, man, you just kind of expand who you are. New mission straight up.
There's a whole section, like I said, appendix is just all kinds of workouts, from beginner workouts that literally any human being can do to advanced workouts that will crush whoever. And they're all written down in there. And then, well, let me just read the last page of this book. Let's give it away. The spoiler.
Sure, spoiler.
The section's called Do. And it says, don't just read this book. Don't just listen to the podcast. Don't just watch videos online. Don't just take notes. Don't just study them. Don't just share them with your friends. Don't just plan. Don't just mark your calendar. Don't just get motivated. Don't just talk. Don't just think. Don't just dream. No. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is that you actually do. So, do. And there you go. That's the book. And I think that this book, obviously, as I started off, this book is something that anyone can use. It's something that I actually use, something that I have used in dire situations to help me, and something that I use on a daily situation to help me. Something that we could all use to look at, to remind us, to keep us on the path. It's a very presence sends a message. Do you like that? It's very presence sends a message.
Yeah, I do like that. Thank you.
Just there. It's looking at you. Sending a message. And the message is discipline equals freedom. So get after it. So, Echo, we want to get after it. Do you have any recommendations on how we do that, or how we can keep doing that?
Bruh, this book is like the ultimate like New Year's book. You know, people, they'll make like the New Year's resolution. But usually, because you know how they say like a lot of most whatever, I don't know that number, like resolutions, they'll fail after whatever amount of time.
7 days. 9 days.
Something.
Whatever.
Yeah. But when you think about it, when you have the manual, you don't have to. It doesn't have to fail.
No.
Like you just refer to the manual. It's a
Good
thing.
Point.
Rather than, let's face it, it was like when you make a New Year's resolution, it's kind of like, oh, I just sort of intend to get in shape. You don't have a path, a plan, a fully laid out deal. Yeah. You just have an intention. Boom. You got it right there. You know, it's like one of those things. In fact, I would argue that if you're like, okay, this is my, kind of like I was saying with the owner's manual of a car. If you have this and you treat it as your owner's manual for your New Year's resolution.
Or for your life in general.
It should be for your life in general, yes. But I'm saying if you want to slide it in and have it serve that particular purpose for the moment.
I like, you know what I think is cool is giving it to someone. Give the gift of discipline. Give the gift of discipline. Discipline equals freedom. Field manual. Mark 1 motto. Oh, by the way, the name of this is Mark 1 motto. That's from the military term. It's when they modify things.
Sure.
So Mark 1 is like, this is the first model of it. Then Mod 1 is the first modification.
The first mod that they make.
So there's a modification to this one. My head is bigger on the cover.
Yeah, that's a mod right there. Wait, what is Mark 1? What is Mark?
Mark 1 is like it's like a model number.
Yeah.
But they just call it a Mark.
Yeah.
It's in the Navy.
Yeah, well, it's in cameras as well. So you got the Canon. So Canon 5D Mark. I'm going to the ones that I have. Mark 1. Okay, so Canon 5D Mark 1. Then there's Mark 2, and then there's Mark 3.
Got it. Yeah. So they could have said Mark 1, and if they made like small changes to it, it'd probably be Mod 1. If they did like a full revamp, then it's Mark 2.
Yeah.
So you could get, a weapon system.
Sure.
That is the Mark 1. But then they add a new front sight to it. And you're like, okay, this is Mark 1, Mod 1.
Still
and
Mark
then they
1.
add a new rear sight. And then it's like, oh, Mark 1, Mod 2.
Right.
So you can keep doing that. This field manual. And what's cool, I will say, I have a lot of, creative control. So my publisher, I said, it's going to be Mark 1, Mod 1. They're like, they don't even have any idea what this is. I might as well say the Google Blue, right? They have no idea what I'm talking about, but they go with it.
Yeah.
So credit.
It does sound cool, Mark 1, Mod 1.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you think it sounds cool. Better than
tactical. The Mark. Okay, so you would actually, not to go too deep on this Mark 1, Mod 1 workings, but okay. So because you said the guns before something Mark 1. Like what? Which gun?
No, we don't. The guns are actually an Army weapon system. The Mark is from like the Navy. Yeah,
but you like, what was what machine gun did you carry?
Well, I carried an M4.
M4. Yeah. There you go. That was the one.
Well, yeah, in the Army it's just M though. It's not Mark.
Oh, so M4 is Mark 4?
No.
M4 is the gun, and then it's Mark 1.
No,
right?
they don't do it with guns.
They just say M4.
It's like more of a Navy term.
Gotcha. Well, they do it with cameras straight up.
We have a boat called the Mark 5.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to leave that to the Navy and the weapon system scenario and cameras, by the way, because I don't know if I have a grasp on it yet. But I'll tell you what I do have a grasp on is how we can all stay on the path, or get on the path if you're not on the path already. When you're on the path, you're going to find out that it's hard. It's not always easy. It's actually not even always hard, technically. But it does get hard from time to time. Sometimes you need assistance. Sometimes you need supplementation. It's true. Jocko has us covered. Jocko Fuel. Okay. So if your joints are in need of supplementation, we got joint supplements. Joint Warfare. That's what it's called. It's the first one. Super Krill Oil. It's the second one for your joints. Boom, you want to blend into immunity stuff. We got vitamin D3. Also, Cold War. Boom, joints, immunity covered. Don't even think about those anymore. Put that into your daily discipline routine every morning or every night, whatever. Boom, you don't got to worry about that kind of stuff anymore. Also, discipline. And discipline go. Now, this is a cognitive supplement, similar to what sleep does, really. You talked about brain-derived nootropic factor number 99 or whatever you're saying. It's kind of the same thing.
This is number 100.
Go 100. Mark 100 over here. Either way, it's kind of the same thing, really.
Yeah, 100%, bro.
Yeah, man.
It's coming at me with some hardcore bro science. I hit you with bro science today. They're coming back at me. I like it.
Hey, man, it's part of the game. It's all part of the game. Nonetheless, so discipline, go. Enhance your mind, helps your cognitive abilities and physical abilities, by the way. Many different modes.
Get you, what was the term get you primed.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Isn't that the word you used today? Primed.
Yes, sir.
Get the cognitive, physical, mental priming going on. Get a can of discipline. Go get the pill. Get the powder.
So before workouts, I like the powder for that priming effect, because there's regular priming and then there's like the secondary priming effect, maybe or maybe more accurately put, the psychological priming effect. Because you mix up the little discipline, mega mix, whatever, mix it up, and when you're drinking it, it's like your mind is just getting ready psychologically. Not to mention all the physiological benefits. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one on top of the other. Anyway, it's part of the game. But if you want to replace your current energy drink problem, that's what it is.
Oh, it definitely is. No, not even potentially. It's
Straight
a problem.
up problem.
It's a problem. If you're drinking energy drinks, normal energy, it's a problem.
Okay.
It's a problem.
But
You're
guess
getting
what?
sugar. You're getting an overdose of caffeine. You're getting a bunch of chemicals in there that they use to preserve it. Absolutely, it's a problem.
Bro, okay. I was going to talk about this. I'm going to do it. I'm going to talk about it. So anyway, my kids watch this show. I think it's called Victorious. This show. You'll never know this show ever.
Yep.
No. Your youngest daughter might actually watch it.
Okay. You said I will never know it, and I said yes, I will not. I do not know it.
You might overhear it or whatever. Anyway, it's kind of a funny little show called Victorious. Ariana Grande's in it, and Tori.
Don't look at me for help.
Come on. Tori. So anyway. And so here's the thing. Here's the issue with all their. Not the issue,
Is this a complex story?
Kind of. I'm trying to remember why I even brought it up. But okay. This is why. So every time there's like a brand in there, they do a good job, but it's real obvious what brand they're portraying. But they'll have an Apple computer, and it looks like an Apple computer, but instead of an Apple, it's a pear. Yeah. So like instead of like AirPods, they'll have PearPods. It's real obvious, right? They do that with the brands. They'll have a generic version of the brand just throughout the show, right? One episode. This one was actually kind of like a little political episode, almost little freedom situation. So they had this drink. It was soda called Blue Dog. Blue Dog drink. And then a guy from the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Interference, came in and said, "Hey, we're getting rid of we're banning it, prohibition style. We're taking off all the shelves." And all the kids before they waged this campaign against, hey, it's freedom, like people, you shouldn't ban it for everyone just because certain people can't make choices, whatever, good choices, whatever. But what they did was they started making their own knockoff Red Dog soda, and then they got busted, and then anyway, it was a thing, right? Here's the thing, here's the point.
I hope so.
We know what Blue Dog, you know what brand they're portraying.
Yes, I think that's
probably some energy drink scenarios going on, right? That's what they're talking about. So with our current in real life energy drink scenario, hey, we have the freedom to drink whatever we want to drink. But I think it would benefit everyone, including yourself, to make the right choice with that freedom. Now, if energy drinks are your weakness, hey, that's no problem. Now it's not a problem. You just switch over to the Discipline Go in a can. Fulfills all the good energy drink criteria, and there's not many, but it fulfills all of them, which is you get some energy from it, but now instead of killing yourself at the same time, literally, by the way, slowly, literally, you're helping yourself and improving your health.
Well, I would love to add something to this, but no one's listening anymore after that one. So I think we just burn through the rest of this.
I'll guarantee
you can get this stuff at originmain.com. You can get this stuff at the Vitamin Shop. You can get this stuff you can get the drinks at Wawa. By the way, we'll be live in Wawa, whole East Coast, every store, January 4th. Epic. That's due in large part to troopers in Florida that went into the Wawas and cleared shelves. Keep it up. Keep it up. Yes, because from Wawa, when other stores see what we're doing in Wawa, we'll get nationwide. So now East Coast, West Coast. If you're on the East Coast and you're going to Wawa, clear it out. support. So that way, West Coast stores, who knows which one it'll be, they'll get it in there, and we'll start to do what we like to call a world takeover.
Yep,
Get rid of, and we will get rid of Blue Dog.
Yeah, Blue Dog.
And the rest of them with their weird colors.
We don't want to rely on the Federal Bureau of Interference to get rid of unhealthy stuff. We just
do it.
all want to
let the market do it.
Yes, making good decisions. That's what we want to do.
Check.
And that's also milk protein in the form of a dessert. Straight up. My little son, 4 years old, said, "Can I have some milk?" Out of the blue. I was like, sure, I'm not going to argue with that one.
Gee, do I want you to get stronger, better, smarter, healthier? Let me think about it. Yes, I do. Let's do this.
Yes, sir. We do. Yes. So, yeah, get on that, man. Some extra protein when you're lifting. Shoot. It's a good deal. Also, Jocko White tea. Refreshing, certified organic.
Kind of drinking
white
some
tea.
right now, as a matter of fact. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a little chilly out here in California. And for those of you up in Wisconsin, by chilly, I mean about 64 degrees.
That is technically chilly. Yeah. See what I'm saying? So I didn't notice you drinking that. You know why? Because you're always drinking that stuff.
True.
And after a while, you just don't notice anymore. It's kind of part of the thing. In fact, I would probably not even recognize you if you're not drinking that kind of stuff. Nonetheless, yes, Vitamin Shop, Wawa, all available. OriginMaine.com, available. All this stuff. Also on OriginMaine.com is jiu-jitsu stuff, gis, rash guards. If you're still doing jiu-jitsu, right, get out Origin Maine gi.
Well, you should be doing. And if you heard me talking about the jiu-jitsu today, you probably realize it's something you should start immediately. And you're going to need a gi. You're going to need some rash guards. And listen, when you're not on the mats of justice, you're still going to need clothing to wear. You're going to need things to put on your body, things to put on your legs, things to put on your feet. We got those things too. Yeah. We got Delta jeans, best jeans ever, most comfortable jeans ever. We got boots. The boots do have a name. Lincoln. Do you have Lincoln boots?
I don't know, maybe.
The Lincoln boots have like a toe cap on them.
Wait, what do you mean a toe
like
cap?
an additional piece of leather sewn over the toe.
Externally?
Oh,
dang. Yeah, no, I
the
don't have
other
that.
ones are just called, I forget the name of the other ones.
Roosevelt?
No. No. That's interesting. Pete, you just got an F in product naming.
Okay.
Right?
Me or Pete?
No, Pete.
Oh, yeah, because it's not memorable.
Why didn't I remember it?
Yeah, I don't know that those last boots had a name.
They had to have had a name. Pete names, he likes that kind of stuff, right?
Pete names his parking spot.
He's like, this is what would he name his parking spot? This is the intergalactic parking space of justice.
Yeah, hell yeah. Brad, the jeans, funny. So my birthday was recently, whatever, and my wife buys me some jeans. So I'm like, cool. She's like, hey, I'm not going to, I'm probably not going to wear these. She's like, well, you need variety or whatever. You only wear those Origin jeans all the time, every single time. Origin. So just some variety or whatever. So I'm like, whatever. She's like, hey, don't be ignorant and not try them on.
Okay.
So I'm like, all right, hey, I don't want to be ignorant.
Okay.
I prefer not to be ignorant. We'll say that. So I try them on and I'm like, okay, they fit good. But I'm not going to wear these jeans. Never going to wear these jeans. It's not the same. Why would I ever wear some non-Origin jeans at this point?
Yeah. Like I said the other day, your iconic jeans that your wife got you for your birthday, they're made by slave labor. I mean, factually, right? Man. So we're not supporting that. We're trying to rebuild America.
It's hard, yeah. Yep.
So go to OriginMaine.com if you want any of this stuff. If you want to help America rebuild its manufacturing capability, we're doing it, and we appreciate everyone getting on board, supporting, and we're just the beginning. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Also, Jocko has a store you want to represent while we are on this path. Go to JockoStore.com. We got some shirts. Discipline Equals Freedom shirts. Some good shirts.
Literally good shirts.
Literally, they're good, and they say good on them and all that stuff. Yeah. So, and also get after it. These shirts, hoodies, hats.
With shirts with mantras on them, I guess is what we're getting at.
Some mantra shirts.
Since I'm Mr. Mantra, apparently.
But technically, we don't have too many mantras.
No.
It's it's the basic stuff. Anyway, it's just a good way to represent. Got some hats on there as well. Some women's stuff also on JockoStore.com. T-shirtclub.com. We have an exclusive, I'm using that word loosely, but it's a club currently called the T-Shirt Club. Okay, we don't like that name. Okay.
Super original.
Yeah. I made that name up too because I was like, I'm just going to
You
go
went
basic.
deep into the creative zone for that one.
I tried to pull a
That's
Jocko.
the worst name I've ever heard.
That's weird how that backfired on me, huh?
It's weird. What's weird is when I come up with a name that's sort of like what it is,
yeah,
it's cool. When you come up with a name that's sort of what it is, it's lame.
Not cool. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. That is what this book is.
Yeah.
This is the Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. That's what the book is. That's what I called the book. There you go. Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual.
Yeah.
What are we going to name the book? Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. Done. Jocko White Tea. What are we going to call it? Oh, we're going to call it White Tea. Are we going to call it like ancient whatever? No, we're calling it Jocko White Tea.
Yes.
So then you try this and it comes out T-Shirt Club.
All right, Brad. See, and here's the thing. I mean, you didn't have to say it like that. You did, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, you are correct. If I tried to pull a Jocko, I'm not Jocko. Straight up.
Now you're making me feel bad for beating the defenseless child.
Hey, you're gonna feel how you're gonna feel, you know. But nonetheless, it is a club. It is for T-shirts. You get a shirt every week, unique. You can get Discipline Equals
a shirt
Freedom.
every week?
Sorry,
okay,
I meant to say
right.
unique, and I said week. I meant month. Every month you get a shirt. They're different than the Discipline Equals Freedom, except they do have hints and flavors of Discipline Equals Freedom in that one. Anyway, they're just a little bit different, a bit cooler, a few more layers on each one. Anyway, if you want to check it out, it's a good one. T-Shirt Club on jockostore.com.
You can get some of that Warrior Kid soap there too.
Yes, sir.
From Irish Oaks Ranch. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't. We also got some other podcasts, Jocko Unraveling, which used to be called The Thread. We got the Grounded podcast, which we should have just recorded when we were talking with Dean Lish.
Yeah.
Warrior Kid podcast. I know. YouTube channel. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see Echo Charles's expressing himself through the visual medium of video. And believe me, he is definitely doing that as to the extreme in many cases.
Some cases.
In some cases, exploring people's patience to watch CGI.
Yes, I do it. Technically, I do explore people's patience. Okay, a good way to put that.
And I'm the assistant director, by the way, and all these things, which is more important. I got an album called Psychological Warfare. It's an iTunes album. You can listen to me kind of just pulling you through some maybe scenarios of weakness that you might be having. And also, the book Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual is also available as an album. That's we wanted you to be able to use it for an alarm or just be able to press play. So that's on wherever you find your MP3s. And then don't forget about Dakota Meyer's got flipsidecanvas.com, selling a bunch of cool stuff to hang on your wall that will keep you on the path. Books, got a bunch of books. Obviously, Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual. This is the new version. This, you can get it, I think if you order ASAP, you can get it for the holiday season. Give the gift of discipline. No, I shouldn't say it like that. Give the gift of discipline. There we go.
Better. Thank you.
Give the gift of discipline. See, you could have made a cool advertisement like that. Okay. You didn't do nothing.
No.
Could have been explosions there. About Face by Hackworth. Leadership Strategy and Tactics Field Manual. The Code, the Evaluation, the Protocols. Way of the Warrior Kid 4 is also out. Another field manual. And that's sort of like the operating manual for a kid. You can get that. You better order that ASAP if that's going to come for the Christmas gift. And once again, the only thing better than giving the gift of discipline to yourself or your friends is giving the gift of discipline to a kid, putting them on the right path. That's the Way of the Warrior Kid 4 field manual. There's also Way of the Warrior Kid 1, 2, and 3. There's also Mike and the Dragons. There's also Extreme Ownership and the Dichotomy of Leadership. We have Echelon Front, which is a leadership consultancy. We solve problems through leadership. Go to echelonfront.com if you want that. We have EF Online, which is totally revamped. We're doing live Q&As. We got a forum on there. We got leadership primers. We got immediate action drills. We got all kinds of things, and I'm on there all the time answering questions. So is the rest of the Echelon Front team. If you want to come check that out, efonline.com. We got the muster coming in 2021. Phoenix, March 3rd and 4th. Orlando, Florida, May 25th and 26th. And Las Vegas, October 28th and 29th. Check extremeownership.com. We're almost through with this COVID crap. The vaccine's here. These things, we didn't do any last year. We canceled all of them, so everyone's going to come this year. They're going to sell out. Come and get it. EF Overwatch, if you need executive leadership inside your company, then go to efoverwatch.com. And if you want to help service members, active and retired, if you want to help their families, if you want to help Gold Star families, then check out Mark Lee's mom. She's got a charity organization. If you want to donate or you want to get involved, go to americasmightywarriors.org. And if you just feel the need to suffer, if that's what you're feeling, well, we can offer you that suffering. If you need more of my repressive rants, or you need more of Echo's perplexing pontifications, and you certainly got your share of those today, but if you want more, you can connect with us on the interwebs, on Twitter, on Instagram, which is, just so Echo knows what I'm talking about, he calls it the Gram, and on Facebook. Echo is at Echo Charles, and I am at Jocko Willink. And thanks to all the folks out there in uniform that are protecting the free world. We are able to do what we do because of what you do. And thanks to police and law enforcement and firefighters and paramedics and EMTs and dispatchers and correctional officers and Border Patrol and Secret Service and all first responders, your daily life is a sacrifice to keep us safe and secure here at home. And we thank you. And to everyone else out there, we all want freedom. Of course, we all want freedom. Freedom is the most fundamental desire for human beings, to be able to do what we want to do, to have control over our own destiny. We want to be free. But freedom, true freedom, only comes from discipline. So get yourself on the path. Get yourself on the path to health, the path to happiness, the path to success, the path to freedom. And that path is the path of discipline. It is the way of discipline. Get on it and get after it. Discipline equals freedom. And until next time, this is Echo and Jocko. Out.